So, what's up, everyone? Just like the highlighted comment says, Daniel has learned not to tempt me. Of course, anything goes is in the chat. Hello, everybody. I am here, and we're gonna have a guest soon. Our guest had to take an international flight today, and he is running a few minutes behind. He is putting his child to bed, and he'll be here in just a moment. But when he gets here, please give the warmest of welcomes to Mr. Chris Haskell from They Live by Film. He's been on the show before, but it has been a while. And he is a wonderful, wonderful person, really supports this community everywhere that he can, has a wonderful podcast, does some great interviews. If you have not subscribed to They Live by Film, please do. Let's go through some of these chats before to say hello to everybody. Flickering Waves, what's going on, my friend? Brian is here. Hey, hey. Eric, hello. Yeah, Stan better be showing up. I hope he's here. What's going on, Silent Mandible? Bruiser is here live. Hello. Anthony's awake tonight. What's going on, Anthony? Griff watching the 4K of Dead Pit. Wanted to stop in and give a thumbs up. Thanks, Griff. Appreciate that. What's up, Dave? John, my friend. Yes, this is a Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warrior shirt. This is from Rucking Fountain, which I don't know if I don't know if I should go on another rant after last week's. You know what? I'm gonna go on two different rants before we start, since Chris isn't here yet. Yeah, we in this house, I've got a whole bunch of Rucking Fountain shirts. They've been kind of crappy customer service wise to a few of us lately. Myself, Jeremy Long, they've kind of sucked lately. Yeah, Rucking Fountain, they do good work, but man, I don't know if I can get anything else from them. Yeah, they've not been great. I had to pay shipping on the same package twice for something that wasn't my fault. Really didn't make me happy. Anyways, what's going on? Punk Ron, what's going on? Made it to a live show. Hello. Tony, hello, all the way to Melbourne. Anthony is still here. Couch, curious about that Dead Pit 4K. It is, unfortunately, with the company that it is, I can't see it being amazing. You could see the Patricia Arquette there. Very nice. Holland Oates, my friend. Hello. Joe Jack, Dead Pit was not good. Yeah, I can't imagine that 4K even looks that great, to be honest. Okay, so the second rant. Big rant last week on the Shout Factory art, or not art cards, lobby cards that they did. I got a lot of comments on that. Let's dive into my big rant of the week. I am always a big fan of studios jumping in to make something that is like a boutique release, whether it be an all-in box set, whether it be something really high quality that comes with a book and all of that. And the big nomination this week, I'm going to have to give it up to Lionsgate for putting out a pretty killer release of House of a Thousand Corpses, the 20th anniversary edition. Really nice art on the box. The whole thing comes together pretty well. A couple downsides. One of the things on the inside, just a little cheap Blu-ray disc case, as usual. That could have been a little nicer. The worst thing about this, before I get into the other good things, how are you going to put out a really nice boutique level box set that is physical? And one of the things about this, it is a negative rant, Daniel. One of the worst things about this, when I'm holding this box set, the audio commentary that they are touting as one of the big reasons to get this is digital exclusive. You have to redeem the digital copy to be able to get the exclusive audio commentary. I don't understand it. I don't understand why you would go through the trouble of doing all of this and not put it on the disc. It doesn't make any sense unless it was super late for some reason, which I don't know why it would be. It is troubling when you go through all the trouble. And believe me, it's not just the box, because the box is really nice. It came with actually a lot of stuff. So one thing, I think it's the storyboard art. The storyboard art, I believe, because they got some art cards in here too. They give you this real big poster Not like the most unique art style, but it's unique for this film at least. You got, I think I could show that on YouTube. Screw it. A whole bunch of art cards, and they're double sided with like some storyboard notes and all kinds of fun stuff. Maybe I'll open these, and then we'll talk about the rest of those. But the other cool thing, and actually a pretty decent book. However, with all the people in the world that would love to talk about this film, this whole book is just pictures from the film. Not behind the scenes shots, pictures from the film. Why? I mean, it's nice, believe me, and it's much better than most studio releases of films like this. But it is not something that shows that they were trying. I get going all in on the packaging and trying to bring people on board for a film that is a beloved modern classic by a lot of people nowadays. And believe me, I love the movie. I am a defender of Rob Zombie for the most part. I think that he's terrible at a few things, but I've enjoyed the vast majority of his movies. I don't understand why you don't try even a little bit more than the bare minimum. All right, let me look at these before I show everybody. We got that one, which it's actually pretty good art. Okay, I think I can show all of these. Let me verify. Oh yeah, easily. Okay, here's the next one. Got Rainn Wilson with the little mermaid tail there. Sid Haig, rip. Tiny. And finally, the last one there. Nice. Yeah, it's a nice set. Joe Jack says, I want to like this set, but I don't. I like it for the most part, but man, it's so much. It's like almost great, which makes the stuff that they missed on that much of a slap in the face. Anthony says, is Dr. Satan on the poster? Did I not show the whole thing? Right there. Up in the corner. All right. Let's see. It's like the studio's trying to be boutique, but has zero experience doing so. I feel that way about Paramount Presents, at least for the first wave of stuff that they did. What do you feel Rob is terrible at, says my buddy Kyle. Just curious. I mean, honestly, it's mostly dialogue. I feel like he could do so much better if he had more natural dialogue. When it's meant to be over the top and wild, it's good, but not every scene should be like that. And unfortunately, he leans into it in every single scene. Look at that. Bruiser agrees. I feel like Zombie's dialogue is rough, though still a defender of a few of his flicks. I mean, honestly, everybody talks about House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects, but I still say his objectively best film is The Lords of Salem. It's an incredible, incredible movie. And it's really well made. It is easily the best made film of his, as far as like plot devices and acting and dialogue. Is that movie easily. No better or worse than Scream Factory slipcovers. I mean, honestly, the packaging itself is a lot better than Scream Factory slipcovers. There's other stuff that doesn't make sense about this that Scream Factory obviously can't do. The digital side for sure. Daniel says, don't get me started on Paramount. They went from bare bones releases and then cutting the prices. So after just putting the 4K and charging way more money, in our, I'm working on a future video, and in the Discord, we have started calling the act of putting out a Blu-ray and then a few months later putting out a 4K. We've started calling that Paramounting. That's how common that is. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Couch liked Lords of Salem. Nice. His dialogue in Halloween for me is his most noticeably bad, and I still love the movie. Completely agreed there. Anthony says his music is very meh. Yeah, I mean, I like a few of them for sure, but not most of them. Sorry, I'm late. Sardis, what's going on? Had to balance the checkbook, of course. Distorted Visions, where do I stand on Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 discourse? I will say it is vastly underrated. I think it is an incredible movie, and I will say that without hesitation. I like his version of Halloween, and I completely like the sequel, maybe more than the first one. I don't think either one of them are bad movies at all. What's going on, Steve? Mondo's here. What's going on, Mondo? Been a while, my friend. All right. So, like I said, Chris is about to be on here for tonight. We got some announcements to talk about. Not a ton this week. Obviously, the vast majority of them were on last week's show. But this week, we're going to talk about a little bit of the announcements. And then right after that, we're going to jump into a discussion on the state of the hobby. We are it feels odd to say so, but already a third of the way through 2023, and we have seen announcements for most of the boutiques through at least June up into July-ish. Obviously, we got some like sale title stuff coming up. Severin, Vinegar Syndrome, we don't know their big mid-year slates, although Vinegar Syndrome, we know many of them. We can speculate on what the year is looking like at about the halfway point. So we're going to be discussing this. What is going on for everybody, what it feels like the trends are at the moment, what people are doing as far as purchasing, and some of our thoughts of what we've gotten so far, because it is a really interesting time for physical media. And obviously we've all had discussions about the quote golden age of physical media. We've all had big discussions on how fast physical media is dying, but we've been having that discussion for like 25 years at this point. So it seems odd. But I think it's all important to talk about. And Chris is actually really important to talk to about that. So we will be talking about that in just a little bit. Let me check on some comments because we got a whole bunch. Arrow is starting to do that now, separate their 4K from Blu-rays. Yes, they are, at least on their re-releases. And then I think they're doing that on a couple. God, what is that Michael Mann film? Is it Project Black Hat or whatever? I think they're separating that one, right? Sardis, Chris, he flew in from out of the country today, and he is putting his kid to bed, and he will be with us momentarily. That making of for the first Rob Zombie Halloween is ridiculously detailed, real fly on the wall stuff, which is nice. I actually like his making of stuff. His behind the scenes pieces on most of his films are good. I still have, I think I still have 2 of his I need to see. I've not been able to see his version of the Munsters yet, which I got to admit, I'm actually very interested in seeing. That first trailer gave it a really bad reputation, I think, because the sound was so bad. I don't know why they released that trailer. But when you look at it as something that may have been better in black and white, it does, especially that second trailer, it looked really appealing to me. But I also really loved the original Munsters. It looked to be a really great send-up of that. Antoine is here. What's going on? Joe Jack. Bill Forsythe screaming obscenities at children is chef's kiss. Yeah, completely agree. Completely. Black Hat. Okay, that's what it's called. Yeah, that's the one. Anthony says, feels like the hobby is getting a lot more pricey with a lot more worthy upgrades, but oh man, so expensive. Extremely. We're going to be talking about that, of course. What you've heard, it's beyond bad, but who knows? Well, obviously that's all subjective as well. Terry seemed to remember that many of the Sony titles that are getting licensed by Arrow are being issued as either blue or 4K. That would actually make a lot of sense, especially for the Sony ones that are upgrades, where the boutique, whether it be Arrow or somebody else, is only doing the 4K. I think Scream Factory had 1 or 2 of the Sony ones that they were doing the 4K for, that they didn't do on Blu-ray, that only came with the 4K. So, yeah, that very well could be, actually. Zombie does those making of docs and commentaries better than almost anyone else, and they are never, obviously they're entertaining, but they are never short in any semblance of the word. Not only are the commentaries like full and robust, but the making of things are way longer than most of those making of features, and it's not like bloated to the point where you're not entertained anymore. It's literally interesting behind the scenes things that make you want to continue watching to see how something was made, for sure. Still have not watched The Monsters yet, says Sardis. Oh, the other one I haven't seen yet, 31. What's everybody's thoughts on 31? I've heard very polar opposite things on that. A lot of people saying that it's rubbish and absolutely terrible, and then the opposite side of the spectrum, it's fun and interesting, but missed the mark, basically. Which that's a rough spectrum when it's from missed the mark to the worst thing ever, and none of them are, hey, this was really great. So yeah, I do want to see that for sure. In just a couple years, the prices have dramatically increased. Absolutely. With certain things, I get some of the prices on like 4-disc sets in robust big box sets. Sure, charging $50-ish or whatever isn't insanity, but it's still a hefty markup compared to what it was just 3 years ago. And obviously, the whole world is inflated, and there's a lot going on with the whole product chain, basically being able to produce things internationally, get them shipped here on time. All of the steps in between have dramatically increased. So every single item has to go up in price. Does it have to go up as high as it's gone? I don't know. I don't see the accounts for all these companies, so I can't really say, but it does seem to be higher than I would have expected at this point, for sure. I don't know. Daniel says, isn't it true that Sony doesn't allow third parties to do restorations? Yes. If that's the case, I'd rather they just handle it themselves if it means giving other studios older masters. Well, the thing is, Sony generally does the restorations and then licenses out the restorations. The other companies are not just getting old restorations. It's just that Sony, they've got something that they've restored that they don't think they're going to be able to make the money off of. So they say, hey, we'll license you out the restoration if you want to give something the boutique treatment. So it's kind of a best of both worlds thing for all of us. The company doesn't have to invest in the restoration. Sony can do that themselves, make sure that they're archiving it properly. And then the boutique label, they can do, Sony's actually very supportive of things like commentaries, interviews, making of documentaries, and able to make those as robust as possible. Daniel says the only better making ofs I've seen from the guy that does Ridley Scott's. I don't know that I've seen one of those, or at least in a while I have not. God, I haven't watched a Ridley Scott movie in a long time. It's been a long time. Now I'm kind of itching to do that. Joe Jack says 31 started good but didn't hold my attention. Zombie says liked 31, but it's very much typical zombie. Okay, I mean that makes sense. Pretty much every single one of his movies was exactly that. You know what? Another comparison I heard the other day. I had somebody say, because we were talking about Tim Burton and the idea of a very modern stylized director that's stayed true to a very similar style throughout his career. People were comparing Tim Burton and Rob Zombie, and somebody said, who was I talking to? I can't remember now, but they basically said Rob Zombie is the y'all version of Tim Burton. And I went, you know what? That's kind of perfect. Let's see. Ragnar, drives me crazy that these companies still shrink wrap Blu-rays and 4Ks, and you're selling directly to the consumer. No need for all that. Dude, preaching to the choir. There is so much plastic waste. I understand if you're going to be selling it wholesale to a brick and mortar store, or even to like a Diabolic. I can understand why you would want to do that, or like an Orbit or a Grindhouse Video. When you are selling them in-house to consumers, your stuff does not need to be shrink wrapped. It's really easy to pick on Scream Factory with this again. I'm not trying to rant about them, but if you're just putting it in a box with a poster tube and a whole bunch of butcher paper, why is it shrink wrapped? We'll talk about that in just a minute, because we are now able to welcome on Mr. Chris Haskell. Hello.
Hey, hey, what's up?
How are you?
Man, I'm doing all right. I was this close to falling asleep putting my son, but I made it.
I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here. How was the trip?
Oh, wow. Thanks for remembering. The one that I just got back from the work trip.
Yeah, well, that and you were on vacation as well.
Yeah, it's been a busy time at work ever since I got back. So we were in, hey everybody. We went to Rome, and then we went up to Florence, and then we did a day in Venice, and then we spent some time in Como, and it was about 2 weeks total. And if anybody needs any suggestions, I found some good restaurants, and it was a wonderful trip. So thanks. Yeah, it was really good.
Good. That
Yeah,
sounds amazing.
yeah, it was great. And then my family's pissed because we got back on a Saturday, like 4 p.m. or whatever, slept. Sunday slept. Monday 3 a.m. I woke up to take a 5 a.m. flight out to Toronto, and was back for a week, and then was just back in Toronto and Montreal for this week. So bit of a wild turnaround, but uh, it turns out you can Criterion Channel and Arrow Player both let you download movies and watch them on airplane mode, which is fantastic.
Nice.
So I've seen some good stuff.
Very
Um,
nice.
so John, it is a fantastic question, uh, and I have some regrets. In Rome, I did not get to go to Cinecittà Studios, which I deeply regret, and I did not get to go to Profondo Rosso. I don't want to spend too much time on my trip, but BA is a disaster right now, British Airways, specifically in Heathrow. So our flight was totally canceled. We wasted 2 days just trying to get any flight out to Rome, and so we lost 2 days out of our 4 days in Rome, just
Jeez.
just trying to get there. So it wasn't a great start to the trip. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I regret about from a film perspective while we were there. But it's a good question.
It's really hard to focus on those things when you're going over there with a family and you're the main film focused one.
Yeah, well, we had a day carved out because Cinecittà is like a little bit outside of the city, and there's like a tour and it's all this stuff, and so we had a day carved out for that. But if I only had 2 days, I wasn't gonna do that
Yeah.
to them. But how's it going? What's happening on a Thursday? How's everyone?
Not too bad. Ken is here. I just wanted to shout out real quick before we go into that. Mid-level Media's channel. If you've not checked it out in a while, I was on a really long video that just came out this last Sunday, and it was a really fun conversation. And I think a lot of people that did not see it would maybe get some stuff out of it that I don't ever really get a chance to talk to on here ever. I used to a lot more than I have been. We've been focusing so much more on interviews; it's difficult.
I didn't know you had a stage name. It's shocking to see what your real name is on the show.
Yes, I do my best.
No, it's a good
Uh,
name.
Thank you, appreciate that. All right, so yeah, what's happening on a Thursday? I mean, I made some good food this week. I'm off tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to getting. I've got like 8 different discs I'm supposed to be reviewing right now. So the kids are finally back in school. I have a day off, so I can just bam, 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 knock a bunch of them out back to back.
Great.
Yeah, that's about it.
Great. I don't know if we're doing pickups now or if you already
Always
covered
go
this,
ahead.
but this finally came in. So shout
Ooh,
out to Mondo Macabro. The Halloween bundle came in, and I know those poor folks. I think lost 10 years of their life just trying to get these things together and shipped out. So much love to Jared, and actually much love to Jared's family. I guess who's going through some stuff right now.
yeah.
But so I hope everything's okay there. But yeah, I was very excited to dig into this soon.
Yeah, not only has the whole Halloween bundle been a bit of a disaster for them, even though the products turned out amazing. Um, it's obviously it's April and people are still just getting things from 5.5 months ago. Jared's also been going through a lot family wise over the last year and a half or 2 years.
Yeah,
I'm really hoping that he's able to keep it going because man, he's really working his ass off.
yeah, he's a good dude too. This feels different from the Severance stuff from a few years back. I just kind of want Mondo to do well. Like I don't care if it takes 6 months. Like you know, um, Yeah.
Yeah. We've got a bunch of people excited about the State of the Hobby talk, so I kind of think we should breeze through some of these announcements.
Yeah. Let's go.
Let's do it then. First up is a film that I've been meaning to watch for literally like 10 years, and I've still never been able to see. June 13th, Kino is giving us Gorky Park from 83. Have you been able to see this one?
I saw this back in like 2001 or something like that. I'm trying to remember. It was let's see, I think it's from the 80s, right?
Yeah, 83. Yeah, 83.
Okay, yeah. And there's something that like I'm just. Oh, it's a Michael Apted movie. Yeah, of course.
Yep. Michael Apted. We got an interview on here with Michael, and that's kind of it. There's no commentary, which is kind of odd for this one. This is Murder, Seduction, and Intrigue in the Kremlin, adapted by Dennis Potter from the best-selling novel by Martin Cruz Smith. Gorky Park is a gripping and brilliant thriller starring screen greats William Hurt and Lee Marvin. When 3 murder victims are discovered in Moscow's Gorky Park, their faces and fingertips removed. Good Lord. Detective Arkady Renko is determined to identify the bodies and find the killer. But when the clues point toward the involvement of the KGB, Renko is hunted by the secret police and confronted by an intricate web of deception and treachery reaching to the highest political levels. I mean, this sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's good. And I'm pretty sure Apted did a Bond movie too. Hold on, let me see if I can fact check that. Yeah, he did World Is Not Enough. So he did. It was several years later, but the guy knows his kind of action movies and political thrillers. Yeah, this movie is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Nice.
I know y'all have talked about this before. Sorry, I know we're just trying to brush to the State of the
No,
Hobby talk, but like I've totally done a 360 on Kino. I kind of love Kino. Like for a while I feel like they were just sort of putting out releases and I don't know. Like I was neutral on them, but like the last year or so, like every single time they release so much, and every single time you're just like, shit, like I want that movie too.
Which is why I'm just incredibly thrilled that they are pretty much the best in the game at sales. Any of their titles that is not a
True.
4K, you can get under $10 within a year, 100%.
True,
Uh,
and yeah,
if you're diehard about slipcovers, that may be a different story, but you can easily just follow through on this and say, hey, this came out in June. I can probably guess that around Black Friday, and if not, probably the following March. This will be either $9.95 or $7.99, something like that. That is really hard to compete with.
yeah, it's true. They have that British, all those British companies. They get their releases down low like that. Kino's the only one doing it stateside.
That and recently we've been getting a bunch of French titles from them. So a lot of people that have stayed away from the more culty action 80s schlock, perhaps. There's been a lot of art house stuff coming out of Kino.
Yeah, big time.
Next up, we got this is
Oh,
the
Eric, sorry. Michael Apted was the Up series. Is that what he's known for? That's the one. I knew that name was so familiar. The Up series is one of my favorite movies that never gets talked about. I hope Criterion or maybe Kino, I don't know, puts the whole series out. Are you familiar with this series
I've
by
never
name?
seen it. No.
Okay, sorry, just a super quick tangent because this is not related to the Swamp Thing at all. And they follow this group of kids that are 7 years old, and they're from like all different social classes in Britain, and they just check in with them every 7 years. So they check in with them at 14, they check in on them on 21, 28, all the way up till 63, maybe.
Holy
Um,
cow.
I don't, maybe Eric, maybe you'll remember how far they go. I haven't seen past 56, but it's crazy. You just get to see, like, especially if you binge watch now, but you just get to see every how basically how you're born, how it impacts the rest of your life. Like, people don't really change their kind of status in life much, but it just, anyways, it's amazing. Different races, different classes. It's really, really, really good.
And that's nonfiction, right?
That's right. Yeah.
That would have been very awkward if it was fictionalized and they were just making up a story. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
63 is the most recent. I watched 7 up through 56 all in one day, says Eric.
Oh wow. That's a long, yeah. They're
Hey,
amazing
look.
though. Hey, what's up, Zach?
Zach is here. Next up, like Chris just alluded to, NVIDIA Rewind is putting out their first 4K disc, and it is Swamp Thing from 1982. And man, they're making some odd choices on this line. So basically, They wanted to come out and say the 4K version is the first release in what they're calling their Laser Vision collection. And what they're going to do is they're going to have two different versions of this. The Blu-ray version coming from MVD Rewind, the way all of their other titles have, the same branding, same sort of stylized slipcover that they've done. Or if you get the 4K, it will be its own number as the Laser Vision collection, and it gets a completely different look to look like a CED release. And this thing, I'm curious how they're going to keep this up, because if people are going to be super anal about collecting all the spine numbers, you're going to have to get both if you want to keep up on all the spines, which of course that's what they want you to do. But I kind of wish they just kept it one style and made the same spine number for both.
Yeah, for sure. What is the okay, so you're saying that this is going to be like spine 1 for their CED line or their laser vision line?
Yeah, if you zoom in, even right here on the
Oh,
black
so
cover of the
I
4K,
see.
it's got a 1, and then on the MVD Rewind, it is spine number 51, I think.
They're up to 51. Wow, I'm so behind on them. I think I stopped at like 28 or something. I'm really behind. I don't think I'm gonna. You know what though? I like Eric. He's like I like what he's doing over there. Um, uh, I just like I can't. I don't think about them as like going complete the same way I do with other
Right.
boutiques. I'm more selective with them, but this came at a good time with the announcement of the possible remake, right?
Yes, and with the sequel getting a 4K release as well, I believe.
Oh, actually, I didn't know that. Swamp Thing, Return of the Swamp Thing did.
I believe that's getting a 4K or just did as well, yeah.
That's great. Great.
And so this is coming on July 25th, and the way that they are doing this is pretty cool, because there is a major reason to get this. If you've got the old Blu-ray disc, this is uncut completely, and in the US that was not the case for the last Blu-ray release. So you get Adrian to go full Barbeau in this release.
Nice.
I don't know what I'm reaching for there. Hopefully that worked. This has, as far as I can tell, no new special features. But the cool thing is that the Blu-ray is going to contain the new remaster as well. So if you just go for the NVIDIA Rewind release, then you'll still get the full HD version of the uncut film.
I think I'm partial to Return of Swamp Thing, but Swamp Thing is still fun.
Yeah, yeah. I completely agree with that.
I remember thinking when because I saw them in order, and I remember thinking I wish they would just go full ham with this. Like Swamp Thing is kind of ham, but then Return of Swamp Thing is just like a triple stacked ham sandwich, and I think it fits well.
Yeah. The Return of Swamp Thing, by the way, was released on 4K on February 7th. Yeah, that's
Okay.
available now.
Okay. Awesome.
Next up, we are getting another Kino release. This is from 1982, and it is called $1,000 billion in English, or $1 trillion. It's got a few different names, but it's a French film, I believe, and this one stars Mel Ferrer, and
Nice.
written and directed by Henri Verneuil. And yeah, this is supposed to be a great movie. I've never seen this one either.
This is song that came out a few years back. It's from this movie, the "I Wanna Be a Billionaire." It was the theme song to this film.
I was expecting that, or Amelie, Amelie. Next up, I have not talked to you about this one. Did you get to see Skinamarink?
No, but I feel like I've seen it because Zach, who's on the line, or he may still be here, he says this is better than Halloween. It's his favorite horror movie in the world. Just waiting for him to comment on that. No, he does really like it.
Okay.
I don't think
Oh,
he's gonna say his
really? I was
favorite.
going to say it must be the exact opposite for him.
No. He does really like it. I just was gonna see if I could get a. I think Halloween's his favorite horror film.
Oh,
But
it better be with how he worships it. Yeah.
yeah, but no, but apparently the creepiness in this makes me really want to see it, and like somehow it still might be a kids film, even like I mean in the sense of like nothing actually happens. It just sort of like keeps you on the edge the whole time and builds that suspense, which is pretty great. I do want to see it.
I did see it. I feel like it is probably better in a theater. It seems like most people that went and saw it in the theater had a much better time than I did.
Okay.
Uh, I kind of hated this movie. But Skinamarink is coming from RLJE and Shudder on June 20th. It is going to have a commentary with the director that I got to be honest, I would kind of love to hear,
Yeah.
just to hear what he. I mean, obviously you can tell the style that he was going for, but there is so much in this that makes it like it's got to be affecting him on a different level.
Hmm.
It's a really interesting stylistic choice, but it just didn't work for me. I feel like it would have worked really well if it was a 20-minute short.
Oh, interesting. Do you think it's the kind of thing that they can make a franchise around?
I hope not.
Okay.
No, not really, because genuinely, there is not there's like no plot to this movie. It's literally just things to make you remember being scared in your childhood, which I get. If you were prone to that type of fear, this probably works really well. Unfortunately, I wasn't prone to that type of fear. There was other things that were tangible that were scarier, and um yeah, I don't get the let's put our camera on the corner of the room for 4 minutes and make the bass buzz real loud and hope that that's scary.
Oh, I got it. Okay. Yeah, I still want to see it. I'm assuming it's on Shutter.
It probably still is.
Okay.
I mean, it is classified as a Shutter original, so I think they'll stay on there in perpetuity so far.
Okay.
Zach says, I'd recommend watching Heck before diving in. If someone hates that, definitely don't watch Skinamarink. It's 3 or 4 times longer. Yeah, that's true. Completely true. Oh, and about Halloween, he did say worship is an understatement.
Mm.
Lots of fans of this one. Media Membrane says, really loved me this one. John says, I liked it a lot, but could have been shorter. Silent Mandible says, reminded me of my childhood. Yeah, it should be cheap. A lot of the RLJE films, they end up in like Dollar Tree.
Okay. Good to know.
Yes, it's an exclusive. Okay, so it should be on there still for sure. All right. Kino is also giving us The President's Analyst with James Coburn from 1967. This gets a new 4K scan of the OCN, but it is coming on a Blu-ray, not on a 4K. No release date for this, but it's James Coburn, and it's probably fantastic. And this is another Paramount release that, again, Paramount had everything in the vault for so long, and now they just fire hydrant getting everything out there.
I had hoped this would happen. I'm just looking at this guy, Theodore J. Flicker, who goes by Ted Flicker. Looks like he was a TV director. I don't know too much about this movie, to be honest, but he looks like he did a few films. But this is exactly what I hoped would happen, right? The studios are just like, it's too much work. Y'all do it.
Yeah.
And then the boutiques start, because even Vinegar Syndrome, like a lot of their stuff has MGM on it now. So I love the fact that they're partnering with these studios in a bigger way.
It's on top of that, it's a big deal when things like Paramount open the doors finally. Lionsgate recently opening the doors to Kino
Yeah.
and some others. That is a massive deal compared to looking at their catalog and what we could get out compared to a few years ago. This is a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah.
Eric reminding us Imprint just came out with this, and I don't know what it is, but Imprint seemed to be the primer for Paramount. They suddenly went through Imprint for many of their titles, and then out of nowhere, Kino scooping them up in the US. So I don't know. It took Australia to grease the wheels, but Paramount is just open to it nowadays.
That's interesting because their parent company is Via Vision, right?
Correct.
And they have like they put out, well, kind of like Kino, I guess they put out a ton of stuff,
Yep.
right? But a lot of it is like an entire collection of 18 seasons of Australian TV show. Like they
Yeah.
put out all
On
sorts of
DVD.
on DVD, right? But maybe they have some deeper pockets to be able to open these doors, and then once a film is transferred, maybe they share. I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah, you're right. I don't know because Imprint, like almost every title, it seems like worldwide first Blu-ray release or something first something,
Yeah,
right?
every month they usually have, say, 5 releases, which is a lot, and at least 2 or 3 of them
Yeah.
are either worldwide Blu-rays or like English language first time on Blu-ray, something like that.
Yeah, I agree with DC Eibner. I think that's the way things are going. I hope that's how you pronounce your username.
His last name is Sibner.
Oh, D. Sibner. Okay, I thought you was
Yeah.
like you're a fan of the DC movies. Um,
He says studios only care about the heavy hitters unless it's a well-known cult classic, famous IP, or one of the big directors. They'll pass it along. For the most part, that is true, and I fear that some of the ones that they may see selling well for some of the boutiques will make them hold on to other titles, and they will kind of, you know, I don't know, make them limp along in some crappy release in the next few years or something. We'll see.
yeah.
John says even Disney with Criterion and Mill Creek to a point. The Wall-E thing supposedly was a one-off because the director went and requested it essentially, and the Mill Creek thing is just a re-release of stuff that they'd done previously. But I guess this CEO that has taken over after the last one seems to be much more open to licensing stuff. So we shall see.
Are we still down on Mill Creek as a group, or are we pro Mill Creek now?
I think I think Mill Creek has its place. Um,
In the trash?
First off, I think people don't understand that not all of these companies they don't do their restorations themselves for the most part. They generally license from the studio just a full
Sure.
blown transfer. So Mill Creek, they are here literally to be budget releases, which absolutely has its place.
Fair enough. That's a good point.
And when they do something that they are going all in on, such as Ultraman, they are incredible. They come out with really great releases. They put a lot of love into them. Even another one that a lot of people don't love, but I adore, the Andy Sedaris films. They look incredible, and they all got great releases with new features. I'm a big fan when they're trying. The hard part is it's tough to justify like buying Problem Child on Blu-ray again just because it has a VHS slipcover, especially when the Blu-ray looks worse than the last Blu-ray.
Mm-mm.
I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, then I'll temper my. I agree with that though. Ultraman was good. Mothra was really good. So yeah, that's fair. Fair enough. Let's do Blue Underground. Sorry.
Let's do Blue Underground. They are having a sale until April 17th, and this is one of the ones that goes through mbdsale.com, which means they limit it to 15 total units, and there's no free shipping. They have a flat $6.99 shipping cost no matter how many titles you buy, so you're incentivized to buy more so that your shipping is spread out across more titles. Blue Underground. We can get into some of the state of the hobby stuff. How are you feeling about Blue Underground in 2023?
Okay. So if Mill Creek, if we're gonna say Mill Creek has their place, and they're doing things that serve a particular purpose, then I'm gonna say Blue Underground also has a place. I'm not comparing the two, but like I think Bill Lustig has done so much for the industry, like in general, in terms of the people that have learned how to market through him and the people that have learned how to kind of like he's a salesperson through and through. The guy just like uses sells right in marketing, and I know like he's an amazing storyteller. And I think this is just kind of his retirement thing now, like it's his semi-retirement thing. Like it doesn't, I don't get excited about Blue Underground in the same way that like I wanted them to be more, I think, than they are. But for what they are, they're fun. Like I love, the majority of their movies. Like I remember where when I first saw Uncle Sam that's up there, I remember just thinking like, man, that's a hell of a movie. And yeah, obviously all the big titles they have. So yeah, and that's my take. What do you think?
I do think he is a salesman through and through, and I think that's one of the issues here is he is not, at least for the last handful of years, a buyer, which not MVD, Blue
Yeah,
Underground, he absolutely should be a buyer as well.
yeah, I think we might be like, because I go back and forth on this. I want him to be a buyer. Maybe he's just not. Like I don't know. Like how old is Lustig now? I feel like people have been talking about Bill Lustig for 40 years.
True. I guess the way I'm looking at it is the Blue Underground 4Ks are so good.
Yeah.
I want there to be two Don Mays and not just one.
Uh,
And
what about the wait? Don May is Synapse, right? Or is Don
Don
May?
May is Synapse, and he's super anal about every restoration,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Blue
yeah.
Underground. And
Oh yeah.
if Blue Underground is going to make these look so good, buy some more titles and make those look just as good, because if you have that talent, maybe that's the last thing that your legacy lives on through, is these incredible transfers.
Yeah, I wish he would. I like he's the they're the right company to do it. Them and Synapse are both putting out amazing 4Ks. But I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it seems like it's like I want them to be something that they're not ready to be right now.
Yep.
Um, that's kind of how I view it. I mean, the Larry Cohen stuff, like God told me to. What amazing to get that in 4K. So
Yeah, I would love to get some more of the Cohen, like Cue the Winged Serpent. I would
ugh,
kill for that in 4K.
I bet you it's coming out. I bet you.
I hope so. And Arrow will probably do the stuff on 4K eventually.
Hmm.
I
That's
don't
true.
know. I love Cohen. I'm going to highlight one comment because there is something that's—
Amsterdam. Yeah. Sorry.
you're good. Something that's not a part of our announcements tonight, but if people have not heard about this, they absolutely should. So Sibner says, if Inferno doesn't even have a special edition Blu-ray, I can't buy it, knowing Bill will eventually reissue it. So Inferno got a really nice UK release from Arrow. Gosh, we're looking at 8 or 9 years ago now, something crazy like that. However, for people that have not heard this, BFI put out a trailer for an Argento project that said there are 17 new 4K Argento restorations, and one of them shows a 4K restoration of Inferno via Disney. So Disney owns Fox, and they own the rights to Inferno now.
Not
So
that it's gonna. Okay, there's a lot of words in there. I'm trying to wrap my head around those words being used together. So, y- are you saying that BFI is talking about putting out a 17 disc box?
no, it is a special project that they are calling Dario Argento Doors into Darkness. So what it says is the BFI has provided a promotional trailer for an upcoming event that will celebrate the work of Italian director
Okay.
Dario Argento. The month-long season will feature special guest appearances from himself and 17 brand new 4K restorations courtesy of Rome. And then it goes on to say, the season will feature the UK premieres of 17 brand new 4K restorations, courtesy of the partner that they have in the festival that they're doing, including The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, The Cat of Nine Tails, Deep Red, Suspiria, a lot of the ones that we know. And then at the very end of it, they actually highlight Inferno, and they least the least expected thing here is it does list Disney as the company.
That's wild. Yeah.
So it's possible that they've already restored it in 4K, and we could potentially have something come eventually.
A new Pixar animated Inferno. Disney Club exclusive. Yeah, exactly.
Well, if they just
And
did that for Cinderella.
yeah, exactly. Anthony, yes, I did actually meet Argento. He was just having coffee, and I sat down and we talked for a while. Super nice dude. I asked him how it was to be naked in a Gaspar Noé film. Huh.
Wow.
Age of Argento as a dairy that's a Disney princess. Oh man, yeah, his relationship with his daughter. There's a whole nother episode on that. But what's
uh,
after Blue Underground? Hey,
not too many. Kino on June 13th is giving us The Package with Gene Hackman from 1989. We got an audio commentary by the director Andrew Davis and actress Joanna Cassidy. We also have an interview with Joanna Cassidy on here with an optional intro by the director as well. I've not seen this one, but it's got some pretty big names in it, including Pam Grier.
nice.
Gene Hackman, kind of incredible. He was a pretty good actor back in the day.
Is this a sorry? Is this a 4K? No, Blu-ray, right?
Just Blu-ray.
Oh, okay. If this was the 4K of Gene Hackman's package, I'm all in. Um, but yeah, newsflash, that does not look like Hackman. I
No,
mean,
it does not.
kind of. Maybe it's a stunt double.
I guess this is a Christmas movie. Interesting.
By the
Does
way,
it?
have we? No, I haven't been on your show since I saw Violent Night on a plane. Everybody needs to go see Violent Night. That movie was so much better than I expected. Speaking of new Christmas movies, it was awesome. Have you seen it?
Not yet.
It's like a positive like Christmas story that just happens to have R-rated, like Italian style gore and blood, and it's like very bloody, but it's got a sweet spirit. Like it was awesome. Anyways, just speaking of Christmas
All
movies.
three of the genre Christmas movies that came out last December, the only one I got to see was The Leech. I still haven't seen Christmas
Oh,
Bloody Christmas either.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was a good year for it. That's right.
Our friend Erica says no Hackman package, sadly, or hackage.
Package. This is bad marketing.
Oh man.
Misleading.
I put out a week. Sorry, put out a week. I put out a video this week with William Bibiani, or Bibbs, as a lot of people know him from a lot of old bloody disgusting videos. We sat down and talked about film criticism. If you get an opportunity, I'd suggest giving it a watch. He's got some really interesting words to say about analyzing film.
I just finished your 4.5 hour marathon last week with Will. So I'm
With
excited
Will.
to do. Yeah, it's 2 Wills in a row here.
Yeah, that was a long one. And speaking of Will, I will highlight now, since there probably won't be anything else to segue with in a little while. Next Wednesday, I'm going to be doing my second episode of In Defense of the Genre, and it is something I'm incredibly excited for. We have Will Dodson coming back to defend his title, where he took down Jeremy Long last month, but he is taking on Laurent Omanzik from Wicked Vision in Germany live next Wednesday night on my channel, and they're going to be discussing 80s action films, and it's going to be incredible.
Sounds awesome.
It is, yeah, I'm so stoked on that. Let's go back to this. We are getting Lord of War with Nick Cage on 4K Steelbook from Best Buy via Lionsgate. And this Steelbook cover, this is just looking to be a meme. The sunglasses come off,
Oh, totally.
and you can put that on any other Steelbook. I can't wait to see some ridiculous pictures.
Yeah, yeah, it's worth buying just for that.
Yeah, and
Is this a Walmart exclusive? Sorry.
Best Buy exclusive.
I mean, Best Buy exclusive. Yeah, they love that. They love that slipcover that becomes something else. Huh? That's like their thing right now.
That and Terminator was a really good one for that. American Psycho was
Yeah, American
incredible.
Psycho, yeah. Even the Ron one was beautiful.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't like as, it wasn't like this. It was just more artistic, but it was a good one.
It was a good one, yeah. All right, TerraVision kind of made some waves this week, and a little update on this one as well. TerraVision is putting out Linnea Quigley's horror workout from '89. They had soft announced this previously. We didn't get a lot of the details, but now we have them all, and this is looking pretty loaded. So it's got a new interview with Linnea Quigley. It's got an interview with the director, Kenneth J. Hall. It's got an interview with Cynthia Garris, new commentary with Linnea Quigley and Kenneth J. Hall, moderated by Brad Henderson himself. They newly created the master they newly created this from the master tapes. And then there's a brand new 5.1 mix created from the master tapes for this that they had to literally piece by piece try to fix and get this out, because it was literally falling apart in their hands. This release looks incredible. Here is the inside art, and there is some pretty rad stuff coming in a bundle as well that we're going to talk about in just a second. Are you all in on TerraVision, or are you getting this?
I hope I don't make Brad, if you're listening, I love you. I don't know if he's on tonight. I just have to make budgeting decisions. Like I haven't, I would say that Liana Quigley's horror workout is not like top of my list of things that I have to buy, even though I know it's selling out like crazy. Even if Liana's Quigley's are in there, I don't know that it's enough to make me buy it. But yeah, I mean, at some point, maybe I think it's gonna sell out. But if for whatever reason it doesn't, or it's streaming somewhere, I don't know how Brad feels about streaming, because Vinegar Syndrome doesn't like to stream. But yeah, I don't know. I'll maybe check it out. I don't think this one's gonna be up on my shelf.
So before the cult card gets taken away from you, it's Linnea, not Liana.
Linnea. What did I say? Liana?
Yeah. But the other
I'm
thing
sorry.
I wanted to point out to everybody, this has already sold more than half of its slipcovers. They're putting out 3,000 slips of this, and they've already sold more than 1,500 in literally a day and a half.
I, hey, I'm so happy there's a market for it. Like, if you're gonna go through frame by frame and it's like falling apart in your hands, and you're giving it the care that Citizen Kane would get, like, I love that. I love that it's selling for them. I hope it does very well.
And the film itself will still be available. He did say that everything that they've put out on their own will still have standard releases after the slip gets sold out.
Cool. All right.
They've got one more title coming at the same time, which these should be shipping around May 1st, by the way. This one is called Get My Gun, and it's from 2017. And this one kind of looks incredible. It says, shattered after an assault, Amanda finds herself on the precipice of motherhood and an uncertain future. When a psychotic stalker makes her his obsession, Amanda must stop at nothing to protect herself and her unborn child. With Get My Gun, director Brian Darwas delivers a modern-day exploitation film with grit, twisting the revenge thriller in surprising, brutal ways. TerraVision is now proud to present the U.S. disc debut of this indie shocker with new and exciting special features. This film's from 2017, and it looks like one that would have fit right in some of those nasty, like 70s and 80s rape
Totally.
revenge style films.
Yeah. No. This is much more like something I would probably buy. I might have to get this. Did you do the subscription for them?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hovered over it and ultimately decided not to, so I have to buy their titles now. But because they do it like 6 months at a time or something, right? There's like a
It's not a time frame. It's well, right now it's 10 titles.
10 titles. Okay.
But the hard part, they are going to have to adjust it soon. So Brad has announced on Twitter that they've signed 175 titles. Um, Starting around June-ish, it looks like they're going to be ramping up quite a bit of how many they're releasing. When I interviewed him, he even joked that they're considering doing 10 titles just for Halloween this year. So with that in mind, a 10 title subscription doesn't really work much longer for them,
Yeah.
because
Right.
that could be 2 months, it could be
Yeah.
2.5 months. If they continue on this front, it could be 5 months. So something will have to change. One thing I want to point out on this is the special features. So they got an interview with the director, interview with Jennifer Carcietta. There's an interview with Kate Hoffman. I believe both of those are actresses, and Christy Casey as well. But something that really stuck out to me is having none of it. Get My Gun and the Rape Revenge genre, an audio essay from Alexandra Heller Nicholas.
Oh,
And
cool.
she has literally written a book on rape revenge films, and I cannot wait to hear some sort of updated take on from her after writing the book. There's stuff that she wanted to say and just couldn't get in the book in time, and being able to give more on that subject has got to be interesting for her.
Yeah. No, this one I think I'm gonna buy after tonight. I like this. This looks really good.
Nice. So Horror Workout, like I said, is also getting a whole bunch of package items. They're doing this vinyl soundtrack for it. They're doing a cassette soundtrack for it. They are also doing the Linnea Quigley's Horror Workout shirt with it. And you can get this wonderful enamel pin. They also just started selling the shirt by itself if you want. And a reminder, if you are one of the subscription holders, you can go into their wholesale site and get items from them at their wholesale price. So if you are into this and you are a subscriber, you may want to go take a look at that wholesale site.
That's cool. Yeah.
Next up, we got a pair of Tom Cruise films to talk about. How do you feel about Tom Cruise?
um. Okay. Let's see. So first of all, this movie, I just by total coincidence saw Abre. Somebody recommended this like Mexican movie called Abre los Ojos back in like 2000, 2001. I don't know, something like that. And I mean, that movie is good. It's very good. At least I remember it being very good. And so this one, I don't know. It was like, it was weird because I just saw it like pretty soon after I had seen Abre los Ojos, and it was like not as good. So I don't, this film to me is kind of like, okay.
I don't like this
I,
movie at all.
okay. Yeah. Tom Cruise, I just, I don't know. He's fascinating. He's fascinating. Like he's like a train wreck or something to watch, you know? Like, have you heard the story where on I think it was Mission Impossible, one of those movies where he did that jump off of like the tallest skyscraper in the world in Dubai, and his stunt coordinator told him he couldn't do it, and he was like, okay, 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 and so he went to like the director, and he's like, we need a new stunt guy.
Yeah.
Like, he just operates on like a different plane, and so I don't even know how to make comment on Tom Cruise. He seems like somebody I would never want to get to know personally, but I like a lot of the stuff he's in.
Agreed there. I will say when he specifically talking about acting, when he's good, he's great,
Yeah.
and when he's bad, he's honestly still pretty good.
No, damn it.
I hate that. The hard part is he is just like Tom Hanks for me, and whenever I see him in a film that's not Tropic Thunder, all I see is Tom Cruise. It's not him enveloping a character. It's just, oh, here's Tom Cruise in this movie, and he's pretty good.
He was good in Magnolia too, I think.
Yes, but it was still just Tom Cruise acting very well in a movie.
Fair enough. Yeah.
We had a question from Sibner, which maybe I should get rid of Tom Cruise for a second. What's the shipping like with TerraVision? I just so happened to have Copperhead and End of the Line still in from them with taped bubble wrap around it. Came in a cardboard box, and TerraVision is really old school in some of the stuff they do. They send candy with their release. They send, let's see, there's still bubble wrap in this box. I can't find it. They sent a little spider ring, and then the other thing, it's in here somewhere, dang it. They sent one of the old school fortune tellers.
Nice.
So very like old magazine subscription style shipping, which honestly is pretty much the best you can ask for nowadays from a boutique.
Is it free or do they charge for it?
When you buy the subscription, you get free shipping for the entire life of the subscription.
And free candy.
And on top of that, you can go into their wholesale store and add whatever you want to your subscription and still not pay shipping.
Have you tried putting the candy up on eBay, seeing if it's going for like $100 yet?
Oh no. Let's see. Stan says Cruise is not so good in the interview with the vampire. I mean, yeah.
It's funny you say that. I actually, well, I know I go on so many tangents, but I just watched Interview with the Vampire again, like near the end of last year, and I agree with you actually, Stan. I didn't like the movie as much as I thought I did. He was okay in it, I guess, but in a weird way, I think miscast.
We got two back to back here. Sibner says this is the list. This is on my list of films I love that I have to defend. And Tony says I've always liked Vanilla Sky and I don't understand the hate.
Fair enough. It's a really cool idea. Yeah, the concept is awesome.
Shipping cost. It is $5 if you are not a subscriber. If you are a subscriber, it is free. $5. Sorry. Next up is The Firm with Tom Cruise. I gotta be honest, I've never seen this one. This actually seems like it would be a lot more fitting for him. This one is coming on 4K on June 20th. I don't know the features on this yet, but yeah.
Isn't this one of these like Tom Clancy ones or one of these?
It's Grisham.
John Grisham. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I remember liking this. I don't know. I think I saw this when I was like maybe like in 1993 or something, or like on TV shortly thereafter. I have no idea. It's a Sidney Pollack movie. Oh, it's probably all right.
And it's also Tom Cruise before he was Tom Cruise. Like, he was obviously famous by now, but he wasn't as full of himself.
Yeah, The Firm and the Package. The Firm Package.
The Firm Package. Speaking of the Firm Package, on May 23rd, Film Movement is getting Warm Water Under a Red Bridge from 2001. This is the final film of Shohei Imamura. And oh my gosh, this movie sounds wild. It says brimming with magical realism, sensuality, and humor. The final film by revered filmmaker Shohei Imamura is an enlightening, even liberating experience, says Roger Ebert, that tells the story of Yosuke Sasano, an unemployed salaryman who arrives in a remote fishing village following a rumor of hidden treasure. Instead, he meets Saiko Aizawa, a charming and unusual woman with a unique problem: a well of warm water inside her longing for release. Saiko faces both shame and adoration for her condition, which the local anglers believe feeds the river and its fish. Intrigued and enamored, Yosuke decides to take up a new life as a fisherman. Through their passionate affair, Imamura paints a picture of longing, fantasy, and the search for true happiness in the most unexpected of places that's both nonchalantly freaky and uncommonly pleasurable.
Trying very hard to be mature about this.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what to say.
I'm assuming that he's catching her, she's falling, and was surprised by some warm water that hit her. Do you think that's what's happening in this picture? He's like, "Oh, careful! You're about to slip on the water that's pouring out of your vulva."
Yeah, basically. Eric says Warm Water is an interesting film, but definitely not his best. It's one of his last films. Provocative title. Oh, yes.
I wonder if this was Imamura just like getting into porn late in life and just being like, there's a movie in this.
Either way, I'm glad that Film Movement is putting this out, and hopefully it brings more attention to Film Movement, because they are nowhere near given enough attention. They do a lot of incredible work, a lot of Asian films. Even this gets a brand new restoration of the movie. I hesitate to say this, but the special features on here, we get a video essay by Tom Vick that's called Messy and Juicy. Had to go with that title, Tom, huh? They are also giving us a 16-page illustrated booklet with a new essay by film scholar and writer Huang Qiumin.
Okay.
Oh, the comments. Oh, man. All right, let's go to the next title. Coming on June 27th from
cool.
Kino Lorber partner label Metrograph Pictures, we are getting Millennium Mambo from 2001. This is one I am dying to see. It is written as a stylish and seductive submersion into the techno-scored neon nightlife of Taipei. Hughes' much understood Marvel star Shuki as an aimless bar hostess drifting away from her blowhard boyfriend and towards Jack Cao's suave, sensitive gangster, structured as a flashback to the then present from the then future of 2011. It's a transfixing trance out of a movie, drenched in club lights, ecstatic endorphin rush exhilaration, and a nagging undercurrent of ennui. I mean, this sounds fantastic.
Sorry, I'm reading some of the comments. I saw this in theaters in Dallas around the time. I think this came out in like early 2000. Yeah, 2001. Yeah.
Yep.
This is how I discovered. Oh man, I feel so bad trying to say this guy's name. Hao Xiaoxian.
Yeah.
It's how I discovered this guy as a director. This movie is good. I loved it. It's been what 22 years since I saw it or whatever, but I remember loving it. Yeah, it's really cool that Kino's doing this. It's a Blu-ray, huh?
Yep, Blu-ray coming from Metrograph.
Oh, not Kino. It's from Metrograph.
It's Kino's partner label, so Kino's handling the distribution.
Okay, yeah, they're building up their partner labels too. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Terry says they definitely could sell some posters of this one, or at least one to me. I really wish more of these boutiques would do posters. Like the one that I will always point out, I think Criterion left literally $1 million on the line by not putting out a poster of the Godzilla cover. That alone easily would have sold thousands.
That artwork was awesome. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Modern film on May 30th, Universal is giving us Spinning Gold, and really, it just looks like a decent music movie. I'd never even heard of this. This is about Casablanca Records and a lot of people that were associated with that.
Okay.
I never heard this was coming out, even though. Next up is May 30th. Warner Brothers is giving us A Good Person with Florence Pugh and Morgan Freeman. This was directed by Zach Braff, which a lot of people hate.
Mm.
This movie, unfortunately, will have no special features.
What is the one that he did? That freaking
Garden State.
masturbatory Garden State. Yeah. Uh, I don't know. I'm not rushing to see this one. But
I got to admit, I've never liked him as a director, but I will defend Scrubs till the day I die.
yeah, sure, that's fine. Scrubs is fun. I like it.
Yeah.
This is yeah. I don't know. Florence Pugh's supposed to be a really good actor, so maybe it's worth checking out.
Florence Pugh's great, and Morgan Freeman, I think he's got a future in cinema.
Yeah, he's popping up recently. Yeah, just see what he comeback story.
Stan says, "How about 8 lobby cars?" We're going to be talking about that more in the state of the hobby, just a little bit for sure.
Nice.
Let's see. I think only a couple left. Isabella is coming from Cinema Guild. This is from 2020 and looks like a pretty solid release. We've also got some short films on here, which looks pretty great. Cinema Guild, another one that just plain does not get enough love. They put out some decent stuff, but more and more the work that these smaller boutiques are putting out, they are doing really great stuff.
Oh, this is not the. Yeah, no. I'm sorry. This is not the one I thought it was. Oh, what is this? Ongoing battle between doubt and ambition. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know too much about this, but yeah, I guess we'll talk about this in just a minute. But there's a lot of these smaller boutiques that are, like you said, just it's almost like there's a playbook for how to put out a really good boutique release now that everybody kind of knows about. So you're getting stuff. I mean, look at the special features on this. There's so much.
Yeah, and then on top of that, to sell people on this, the copy. I had not even heard of this director, but they say this is the latest in Matias Pinero's series of films, inspired by the women of Shakespeare's comedies. Is his most structurally daring and visually stunning work to date. Through their rich and layered performances, Munoz and Villar demonstrate a profound intimacy formed over more than a decade of collaboration with their director. Isabella is a film about the ongoing battle between doubt and ambition that never discounts the possibility of a new beginning. I mean,
I never,
profound.
yeah, I never doubt a new beginning.
Next up, Classic Flicks is giving us Blonde Ice from 1948. This is coming on July 18th and gets a brand new restoration from the 35 millimeter Elements, and it will likely not have very many special features. Classic Flicks does not seem to do a whole lot on some of these smaller titles, but it's a Leslie Brooks joint, and this one is supposed to be pretty good. Just a good film noir. I love this poster.
It is a good poster. That's some pretty amazing hair. I feel
That
like
and the
really
gun.
sneaky gun. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna get some hate for this, but like, I don't love average noirs. Like, obviously, like I'll like the good ones from any genre, but I
Yeah.
can't just like flip on a noir the same way I'll flip on like a spaghetti western or Poliziotteschi film or something. Like, I don't even care if it's bad. I just want to see Italians yelling at each other and shooting each other. Um, but I can't get there with noir.
I'm the same way. I love a lot of the big ones, but I'm not gonna go grab Kino Lorber film noir, The Cult of Cinema, Volume 15 or whatever it's called,
It's up to
and just
15.
say, "Hey, this will be a good one to catch up with before bed." No, I'll be in bed in 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Sibner says it kind of looks like Brie Larson. It really does.
Oh, totally. That's so right.
Next up, The Bridges at Toko-Ri is coming on June 20th from Kino. This is a 1954 film, and it's getting a 4K scan of the OCN. We had a new commentary by Steve Mitchell and Combat Films American Realism author Stephen J. Rubin. Not really my style of film, but it's got a pretty incredible cast. We got William Holden, Grace Kelly, Mickey Rooney. I mean, I bet some of the dialogue in this is amazing. I'm not going to jump out and watch this one. Probably not my style.
It seems like if they're not careful, they're gonna hit that ship in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
Right, like some of the big ones.
Of
Also,
course.
Well, never mind. It's kind of mean spirited. Let's just keep
No,
going.
well, I can be mean spirited.
No, I was just gonna laugh and say the way that they introduced the person who did the video essay or the commentary or whatever, I was just like, man, that guy must be fun at a party. What did they say? It's he's like a
Combat Films American Realism author.
combat films. Here's my friend Steve. He's really into combat films, American realism. Um, I'm gonna go get some dip. I'll be back in 3 hours as he goes into the history of.
Yeah, I get that. Ryan is never mean spirited. I mean, those lobby cards from last week beg to differ.
He's a shill.
Thanks for bringing that back. Next up, Kino is giving us a classic, The Manchurian Candidate from 1962, coming on 4K on June 20th. No new features on this.
Oh, come on.
I'm kind of surprised. I really thought that they would give us at least a new commentary, something like a Nathaniel Thompson and Steve Mitchell commentary would have been perfect.
Yeah, this is something. This is a good one, and it's so freaking. It's one of these movies that's like uncomfortable to watch because it's so spot on with kind of the subject matter. It's like it just keeps repeating itself, you know.
Yeah. Sibner says this is a beautiful slip. What do you think of this art? I've seen a lot of people complaining about this today. I think this is actually a really nice update for this title.
No, I'm into it. I'm into it. Yeah, it's good. I don't hate it. There's much worse slips out there.
It screams political intrigue. The only thing that I don't understand, and two things, her name isn't even on the slip, but Angela Lansbury just passed. The fact that she's not pictured is really odd to me. But again, like, her name isn't even on the slip. She's a big part of the movie.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good call out. You're
right. Let's see. Nathan had said he still hasn't picked up this, so it'll be a good one to pick up. Oh, there we go. Stan agrees with me. Why isn't Angela Lansbury on the cover? Yeah, this is. I feel like a lot more of her films are probably going to get released in the next handful of years. But I mean, she just passed. Like, how is she not included on this?
Yeah, it's a mistake. Maybe she's in a lobby card.
I love that this cover is up as we're making lobby card jokes about dead Angela Lansbury. Refuse, or it's probably Refuse Films in the UK, which is a little independent production company. They're not really like a boutique releaser or anything like that. They're putting out My Bloody Banjo from 2015. I had not heard of this, but it looked like a pretty fun release. Some of the copy that they're using on this made me desperate to post this. So I'm going to go through some of this. It says, a young man becomes manipulated by his imaginary friend to exact revenge on his tormenting coworkers. However, the better part is that the words they use to describe this being uncut. You can finally own My Bloody Banjo on Blu-ray with slipcover art designed by Graham Humphreys. This is a brand spanking new uncut director's cut. Director's cut that's uncut. 94 minutes, available for the first time ever with an unseen ending, uncircumcised for the first time, limited to only 1,000 pressed Blu-ray discs. That is region free. You can get it and play it anywhere. All of them individually numbered and signed by the director. You'll get the director's cut and the festival cut on here. Slipcover art by Graham Humphreys with an audio commentary, feature-length making of documentary, deleted scenes, outtakes, gore reel, and more. If you're in the UK, free shipping.
I bet you $5 they had ChatGPT write that copy. And they got it out and they were like, fuck it, just print
it. Yeah, they had to run with uncircumcised. Oh man, yeah, I don't know what to feel about this one. I need to find a trailer and seek it out, because if it looks good, like, this might be exactly the type of movie that I love.
I was just telling my wife the other day how I wish there was an uncut version of My Bloody Banjo released. So here we are now. No,
your wishes have finally been answered.
Sweet. No, it looks right up my alley. I'll probably buy this, to be
honest. I really kind of want to know what's going on with this face. I mean, it's used
that
multiple
looks like,
times.
That looks like Robert Zadar's chin. I wonder if they. I wonder if they
very
just got
square.
Robert Sadar's chin and like photoshopped it in. Bruiser, yeah, that's like, yeah, that's exactly right.
This looks like something I buy after I've had one too many. John Peters says there's probably a penis mutilation in it, and that's why they use the word uncircumcised. Maybe.
Or it's
I
just
don't know.
not it. Or it's about what's the opposite of Jews? It's about the what is it? The uncircumcised people, not the Goya or whatever. I never mind. The joke's
Oh, Gentiles.
the Gentiles. Thank you. Yeah, the Gentiles. It's just a movie about Gentiles and banjos.
Oh, Nathan is totally right. He says it weirdly looks like Mark Cuban. It really does.
Oh, I can't unsee that now. That's kind of true.
Oh man. All right, let's get back on our rant horse. Scream Factory giving us 2 side exclusives that are both very confusing. So this first one, 1986's Sorority House Massacre is getting a site exclusive release that is 1,500 units only, and they're calling this a special edition release, which, as far as I can tell, there are no Scream Factory special edition releases. There have been some Shout Factory special editions, but they all of the Scream Factory ones are collector's edition or just like a standard release. This seems to be something different, but this is getting a new 2K scan of the OCN. There is a new interview with the actor Angela O'Neill. We got a new interview with Amanda Reyes, which is pretty cool. A slash course in terror inside Sorority House Massacre, not Sorority Horse Massacre. That would be awkward. It's a very different genre. But everything else from the old Scorpion disc is on here. So I don't know. There all kinds of features, but it's also $30.
And it's not even Jim Wynorski. He doesn't come in. Wynorski. He doesn't come until the second one, I think.
Correct.
So why buy this? Just wait for 2, 3, and 4. Or
well, I don't think 2 or 3 are going to come to Blu-ray. Supposedly, that's not confirmed. But I'd heard there's too many problems with the elements.
That would be a damn shame. We need a Wynorski box set. That's something that one of the big boutiques need to pick up.
Yeah, you and Will Dodson are big defenders of Jim Wynorski, that's for sure.
Who's not a defender? I want to meet that person. The movies are the best. But his very first movie, like Lost Planet or Forbidden Planet or something like that, like even the VHS is going for like $200 on eBay or something. I mean, I'm a little bit dated. I haven't checked in the last year, but like some of his movies are super collectible. So I hope.
Joe Jack says, when is this releasing? Right now. You can buy this on the Shout site only, obviously, but this is available and shipping right now. Like, people have already gotten shipping notices, and this was announced not even like 10 hours ago. So yeah, you can get it for sure. Again, this one is confusing as hell. This is a big title. Sorority House Massacre has a massive reputation, and it should not have been a site exclusive. I don't understand why it would be.
Yeah.
There was a previous Blu-ray release through Scorpion, but it doesn't make any sense that this wouldn't be released wide.
Stan, if you can't, I can't really do this great. This is a heart for hard bounty. But yeah, I don't know. Scream Factory is going to the dogs. They need to get their act together.
We'll talk about Scream Factory more in just a few minutes, I'm sure.
All right, cool.
The other side exclusive, they're giving us a double feature of Crime Zone and Future Kick. This is, once again, limited to 1,500 units, and you can buy this on their site, and it's shipping now. We've got David Carradine in Crime Zone and Don the Dragon Wilson in Future Kick. As far as special features, the new 2K scan from the OCN on both titles, or one is the OCN, one's of the Interpositive, but that is the special feature. Future Kick has an alternate cut, but I mean, it's an SD. It's again, no real special features.
This is I haven't seen Crime Zone before. It's an American Peruvian movie. You don't hear that combo every day. Get into the Peruvian new wave.
Especially when you throw in David Carradine in the mix.
Yeah. He was huge in Peru in the 80s. I don't know if that's true. Oh, Luis Losa did this from Anaconda. Okay. Yeah, sure. I'll see this. Anaconda was good. I'd probably. I like their. They seem to get good movies with the double features. What's the first one I picked up? Oh, well, back to Jim Wynorski. Deathstalker and Deathstalker 2. I got it for Deathstalker 2.
Nice.
Ooh, John, yes, this has VSA written all over it.
It
Except they
would
would
have
have
made a lot of
somehow,
sense.
yeah, they would have made it 3 somehow.
And they each would have been $30 rather than $3 for a double feature.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
they probably would have had updated special features
Totally. And a poster.
and a poster. Well, that's kind of a sour note to go out on, but that is it for announcements for this week. Coming out next week, as a reminder, since we do this every single time, we've got a few. We've got 12 Angry Men on 4K coming from Kino. Serpico coming on 4K from Kino. The Rebel Without a Cause 4K is releasing. Seventh Seal 4K from Criterion. Cocaine Bear coming out from, I believe, Universal. The Brave Archer collection technically is listed as next week, even though most people that were wanting that have already gotten theirs in. The Haunting of Julia on 4K from Scream Factory. This is one of 4 releases worldwide of this film that are coming out in a span of like 6 weeks. Yeah. Then let's see, Rebel Without a Cause 4K Steelbook. And then some You and Me from Kino Lorber, Living with Chucky coming next week. The Sunday Woman from Radiance. Magic Mike's Last Dance. I know Will Dodson's super excited about that one. Search for Beauty from Kino. High, Wide, and Handsome from Kino. Again, how does Kino put out so many titles every week? I don't get it. The Trap coming from Kino. Marlowe from last year, which is supposed to actually be pretty good. Rio, I believe, is from Kino as well. Kids versus Aliens is next week. I know a lot of people have been talking about that one. Poser from Oscilloscope is releasing next week, and I've heard a lot of great things about that one. And thankfully, as part of my circle of trust, just got my copy in. Let's see. I think there's a couple others that are notable. Maybe not. Re-release of Up in Smoke, and that's pretty much it. Anything
Wait,
super
sorry.
enticing next week?
Well, this is not the answer to your question. Go back to the bottom. They're releasing Dreamgirls again.
Yeah, Dreamgirls and Rocket Man coming together.
Oh, I see. They're just trying to sell Dreamgirls.
Yes.
Yeah, but they probably sold a dozen of those when they first hit blue DVD. No, nothing. I got Brave Archer, and I'll be
Nice.
going through those soon. Yeah, I'm kind of like pissed slash super pumped about Shout jumping into the Shaw Brothers stuff now. Pissed just for my wallet, basically.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. I mean, I think at one point they were putting out like 200 films a year or something like crazy. So, there's a lot to choose from. So we could be in this phase for a while, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah, if I remember, I believe their studio has like 975 titles to
Okay.
the name, something like that. I'm probably way off with the number, but it's a crazy number. Unfortunately, a lot of them probably would not sell very well. So either we're never going to get them, or they're going to be coming in these package
Yeah,
deals and
I'm
box sets.
sure. Yeah. Well, Arrow and
Nathan is heading out. Have a good night. And then John says the transfers on Brave Archer are marvelous.
oh, good. Yeah. Yeah. That's good to know. They're very like operatic and kind of technicolor-y, I think, right?
Yeah.
So that could be good there. But yeah, I mean, like Arrow and Shout Factory are both doing the volume 1, volume 2, so we'll see how long that goes.
Well, and I believe Arrow has kind of soft announced that there's already like 2 or 3 more coming.
Okay.
Which is wild.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to choose from. I'm sure everyone's gonna have like 3 movies that everyone's pumped about, and then they get a chance to put the rest of them out. But I mean, somebody made this comment earlier. At this point, like, if you can put a film out and you can make it a part of something, and it's a good release, like, why not? Let's do it. Let's get it out. Enough people are buying right now to support it. So
Absolutely. And I mean, with Shaw stuff, there's so many diehard fans that even if they're bad titles, a lot of them are probably going to be selling fairly well for the most part. That's the hard part.
Sorry. So I have to. Yeah, no, you're right. So Stan, my wife got into houseplants during the pandemic, and so this is a wall of some of them, and there's more. Since you know about plants, there's more calatheas and different tropicals down there below, which I won't share. I got peripherally involved with them. The biggest one though, which we're trying to figure out what to do with right now. Sorry, Ryan, for taking over your show for a second.
You're fine.
There's a pasta zanum back there, and like that it's that one, and like the new leaves that are coming in are freaking huge, and it's like it's taking over our bedroom. It's like a little shop of horrors or something. So we're trying to figure out
Nice.
what to do with it. Um, Unfortunately, she has a green thumb. We have a small place.
Totally get that. Living in Austin can't be cheap.
It is not. It is not.
All right, my friend. State of the hobby. There is all kinds of stuff that we can talk about. One of the things that highlighted this is you and I are frequent visitors of Reddit, and we get a lot of questions over there posted that seem to be similar. And you
Yeah.
wanted to talk about some of those. And then after that, we can get into some very specific labels, very specific releases. And then by now, we've gotten most of the announcements throughout about the halfway point of 2023. So we can discuss where we're at, what we're feeling, and answer questions from everybody in there, and just everybody can discuss together about what they're looking at overall, because it's an interesting time for all these releases.
Just quickly, can I say something that is drawing attention to you for a second? You are look at like what you've done on the side here. Like people are engaged and like and care about you and like no inside jokes and like this is awesome, man. Like I'm so happy. Like it's always fun to come on here. I love the community you built. It feels like a movie club or like just like it feels like you found some the like minds that are all just kind of here to talk about this stuff. I love it, man.
It truly is. And I mean, not to like make it sound like I'm always pimping out the Patreon, but the Discord itself has so many people that are in the chat right now that we bring the Discord jokes to this every week. And there's so many that make me chuckle, and I just want to spout something out in response. But it's hard because a lot of people that are watching or listening later, they're not a part of the Discord, so they don't understand where that's
Um,
coming from. But
yeah,
you can
yeah.
get in on it right now. That link is in the description, and it's incredible. Yes, I recently just put a whole bunch of emoji on our Discord, so you can react with my face, you can react with the logo, you can react with the Kino logo if you're buying stuff from Kino. It's so much fun.
Ryan hates pickles.
That was a big thing yesterday. Yes,
What do you hate about a pickle?
I
How do
can't
you hate?
stand pickles. They make me feel like I'm gonna vomit.
Aren't you Eastern European, or are you?
No, very
Oh,
much
okay.
not. I am Western, like Irish and Scottish.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I like my mom's side is like Czech, not like a mix, like Czech, and so everything was pickled. Like we just grew up like we probably pickled an Oreo at some point. Like grandma just pickled everything.
And that's
So
the
I
hard
don't
part.
know.
I like the taste of vinegar stuff. I just don't like pickles, and I don't know why. Like God, was it last week? I think it was. I made homemade banh mi's, and I pickled carrots and was it
Damn.
radishes or something else
Yeah.
to put on
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah. Damn.
was good.
Well, I know where to stop by if I'm in Kansas City for a meal.
Oh man,
Um,
yesterday I made a copycat Arby's roast beef sandwiches at home.
shit.
So much better than Arby's.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Years of eating in shame at an Arby's drive-through would argue that that's a pretty good sandwich.
Stan, if you need help with the Discord, let me know. I've got a video and I can walk you through it. I can send you how to do it. I did it for Sardis, and Sardis is on there every single day now. So we got to bring you on. Come on.
Awesome.
All right, Reddit questions that you wanted to highlight and talk about.
Yeah, okay, sure. So, some of the ones that were like, I think there's even some threads about it today. People get really passionate about this idea of like blind buying. like in the same way that people used to talk about the seven deadly sins. It's like, do you blind buy? Um, and I just, I don't know. Like that was one of the things I was curious about with this group. I don't even know if it's really controversial or if it's worth talking about. I'd assume that most people in this group probably blind buy. But it's like every time somebody brings it up, I have to kind of like recalibrate and try to be empathetic and try to figure out where they're coming from. Cause like, how else do you discover stuff? Like, I don't even know what I guess you could
Right.
stream, but like, it's not a huge risk. And it's just like a way to discover all these things, right? I
Yeah.
don't even know what the like heartburn's about.
I mean, the majority of the heartburn is probably the cost, and for people
Yeah,
that are needing to be very specific on what they're buying, it is a bit of a damper. You know, when something is, especially we've talked about it just a little bit before you got on, but when new releases are more expensive than they've ever been for these
sure.
lush releases, it's difficult. But I mean, the last 2 weeks I've been putting out multiple videos about pushing ourselves to be more open to cinema that's not like the cinema that we grew up with, or pushing ourselves to analyze film that's from other cultures, or what have you. And the only way to do that is to blind buy. A lot of these, you bring up streaming, you can't stream Shohei Imamura's last film about somebody with water in their vulva, and I mean that's not highlighted on Netflix as a brand new release. So the vast majority of my stuff is blind buys. I will happily admit that.
Yeah. Yeah, I fully agree with everything, and I'm fully agreeing with all the comments too. I think that there's some nuance there. Like, there's like if I like Tom Cruise, for example, and I'm like a Tom Cruise stan, then it's not a huge risk to go buy like a Tom Cruise movie, right? Because
Right.
I'll get to watch my boy for 2 hours, probably do some stunt that's never been done before. Um, but like I remember like there's a huge. I mean, I've always kind of been a blind buyer, but I remember when I put in and finished Female Prisoner 701 Scorpion. And first of all, if anybody in the chat hasn't seen it, go watch it like now. That movie and the second one in the series are just some of the craziest and most amazing, beautiful, like beautifully framed and shot and interesting stories I've ever seen. But like, how would you find out about that otherwise? Like I just kind of like I kind of trusted Arrow, so I put it in, and I like Michael Kaji, and then I was just like, damn, this one is, I think it's number 8 for me right now on my favorite movies of all time. Yeah, Michael
Wow.
Kaji. Yeah. Oh, and then the other one, Deaf Crocodile. We give them a lot of love.
Oh yeah.
Fish and Cat. Like, what the hell? How can I go without seeing that movie? It's number. Oh no, Fish and Cat is number 8 for me right now. And then Female Prisoner 701 is number 28. That's what it was. I just looked this up today because I was curious on both. But like, how do you like? Yeah, how do you know about these unless you just take a chance on it? Anyways, we're all saying the same thing.
Completely agree. Uh, on the subject of blind buying, we got some good comments here. So,
Yeah.
John says, I love blind buying because I'm an explorer of cinema. I might seek out a trailer or review first, but I largely blind buy. The Reddit conversation that you were talking about, some people listed nuance around the words blind buy, which I've never seen this conversation. What is a blind buy? Is it just something that you've never seen the full film, or is it something that you're going in with full on blinders, never read about the movie, don't know anything about it, never seen a trailer? To me, just not having seen the film is a blind buy.
Yeah, I think the reason it's funny you picked up on that. I actually asked that question, and
I saw.
I knew I'd get some shit for it. But like, I think it's an important question because the spirit from the haters is, I think, like I'm confused at where it's coming from.
Right.
Like just by definition, every time you watch something new, like you haven't seen it before. So like, how does that fit into like going to the cinema or like renting a
Exactly.
movie? Like, how do you like separate those in your mind a little bit? So I was asking for some nuance. And
Well,
see,
and
Stan, this is where I was kind of coming from, but go ahead.
I was going to say the hard part is there are people that, like, film Twitter is notorious about that. There are people that will say, I don't watch anything post 1999. And I can't fathom that. Like, I understand not enjoying the look of modern cinema, but there are still masterpieces that have come out since
Oh
1999.
yeah.
It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I mean, Parasite is got to be probably in my top 100 just with the way that it's made. Bong Joon-ho's incredible. I, I don't know. There's a lot of gatekeeping that happens, especially on Reddit, that just absolutely does not need to.
And tied to this question, unless there's more you want to kind of, I feel like we're all
No,
kind of
you're good.
agreeing, we're violently agreeing on this one, which is awesome. Um, uh, is the idea of like how many, what percentage of your collection or library have you seen? And I know people get rankled about that. I'm at like 40,
That's
but
pretty
like
good.
I'm gonna get there. Like,
Yeah.
I watch 350 movies a year and I stream 50. So that means I'm like pouring through 300 of my releases a year. And like I buy more than that. So, but like, yeah, I don't know. That's another one that I don't quite see the controversy over.
Yeah, me neither. We had a
40%,
question that
not
came out
titles.
before the blind buy conversation that I wanted to highlight. Dave says, do we think there is an actual decrease in the number of releases overall, or just that purchasing has all gone online? I think the overall number of releases has not gone down. I mean, personally, my feeling, I think we're seeing that the overall number of releases has skyrocketed, if anything,
Yeah.
compared to even 5 years ago. But more importantly, looking at something like 10 years ago, there is no competition between now and then that we are getting overall higher number of releases nowadays.
Do you remember hold on. The digital bits. Do you remember when they were like the place to go?
Yep.
And it almost feels like that. Like maybe not quite as crazy as that because I mean you could scroll through for like 30 minutes, but like it's starting to feel like the digital bits days where you're just like every week is like different countries and genres and companies and whatever and like yeah, anyways, I think it's crazy.
Yeah, obviously we are not letting the brick and mortar experience match that, but because they can't compete with that. They're not making enough off of a Kino Lorber release that they can sell in a Best Buy for maybe $20. They're only going to make a couple dollars off of that wholesale
Hmm.
wise. And for
Hmm.
them, their main money is coming from sales of appliances. So why would they keep those in stock when people can get it for free shipping and cheaper on Amazon?
I also think this varies by country. Have you ever been to London in the last like 10 years?
I am a very uncultured white person that's never left the United States at all because I'm always poor.
I think I did know this about you actually. But
And I work in immigration. What? I'm an idiot.
you just process other people trying to get in here.
Yep.
It soured you from traveling, I guess. um, uh, Anyways, there's a store in London called FOPP,
Yep.
which is an unfortunate name in this culture, but their collection is unbelievable. Like, I'm not going to say it's worth a trip to London just for the store, but like you walk in, I think there's more than one, but the one that's like in downtown London,
There's quite a
like you
few. Yeah.
walk in and it's good, like normal kind of studio stuff and whatever. Like it's nice, they have the magazines and the toys and some maybe even some CDs. I don't know. But then you go into the basement and you're just like, like everything we're always scrolling through and every Instagram post you do, they're all there on their shelves. They organize it by label and it's like it's amazing. So they're the last vestige, I think, of this.
Yeah, the UK, they've got FOPS, they've got HMV, all kinds of places. You can go to the BFI and buy all kinds of physical media
That's
there.
true.
Other places like Spain has all kinds of massive physical media stores that
Oh,
people
cool.
have shared in the Discord that have gone on vacation in the last year or so. We've got Australia, Cinemaniacs is
Yeah.
a massive store. They've got all kinds of stuff going on there, and Lee Gambin is on the roster trying to help them get bigger. There's so much that is happening in other countries still for physical media. And honestly, with our mail system, it's just cheaper in the US because we're so massive. It's cheaper to do stuff online and sell direct to consumer.
Yeah, I think so. And we don't tend to congregate in the same way Europe does. Like, if you
Correct.
drive 6 hours in a car, you can be in like 3 countries in Europe for the most part,
Yep.
unless you're driving through Poland or something. But like, um, the U.S. is very big, so.
That's true. And I mean, I totally forgot to mention, I literally just posted a video of somebody that I kind of helped, source some things
Oh
and get
yeah,
a
yeah.
physical media store launched in Canada last weekend. And the updates that he sent me over email, he is killing it. Everybody needs to check out Rough Cut Video in Calgary in Alberta. It's doing great stuff. And if you're in Canada, you can order online. Go check out the website. Incredible, incredible. Yeah, I'm so stoked that he's been able to see some success already.
Good for him.
Let's see. Stan says I should join the Navy and see the world. They would never take me anymore because of my foot and my fat. Uh, the movies help me travel from within my home. Exactly.
That's a good point.
There's an amazing physical media store in Rome. They had everything, says Dead Sea Life.
Oh, don't tell me that. That's that. I would have loved to see it.
Mech Pilot wants to know how's Barnes and Noble surviving this long. They don't price match anyone at all. I honestly, I don't really understand how they beat Borders. Borders, I liked way more than Barnes and Noble back in the day. Back in the day,
Borders is better for sure. Um, You know what though? There's something weird. Barnes and Noble has like a vibe to it. Like people go into a Barnes and Noble and just like sit down and play with the toys that they have and like read and they're just there for like 2 hours. And I guess
yep,
you buy stuff when you're there and they always have a Starbucks. I don't know. It feels like they're making it work. I have no idea how they've stayed open because they'll buy like 10,000 square feet or whatever, and they have these massive
yep.
stores. Oh, random tidbit. So I was just in Canada and I was arguing with the Uber driver because he was saying that 9,000 square feet wasn't a big house. And I was like, it was hurting my brain. I was like, he's like, no, just like a normal family home, like 9,000 square feet. And I was like, what?
Nine
I don't know.
hundred, sure.
Yeah, maybe, right? And I was like, what? And we got out the calculators and like we're converting meters to feet. And he was talking about 9,000 square feet. And I was like, I could. So finally, he made one comment, and I was like, wait, are you saying that the entire lot is 9,000 square feet?
Okay,
Because he was talking about having a pool and stuff, and I was like, I'm on to you, you French Canadian bastard, trying to trick me into thinking 9,000 was a small house. Anyways,
that's really funny.
it took us 20 minutes to get there. Okay, sorry. Last tangent on video stores. Do you remember Blockbuster Video, obviously, but do you remember Blockbuster Music?
Very, very like small memories. Yes, it
So
was a place to get to my nearest one where I grew up. I had to drive 35 miles away.
okay, okay, fair enough. But they had the dumbest idea. I'm not surprised they didn't like stick because you could go in there like when I grew up overseas, right? So we would come home for the summer. My parents would drop me off at a Blockbuster Music and I would bring a stack of CDs to the listening station they had. There was like a circle around the center of the store with headphones and they would open every single one for a 15-year-old kid and I would walk out with like four. But I was in there for 3 hours just listening to all the new punk music, and then I would just like give them back, and they had to shrink wrap it and sell it as used.
Wow.
Um, anyways,
Yeah,
uh,
that doesn't work very well.
no,
So we've talked about physical stores. We've talked about number of releases. The
Mhm.
next thing that was obvious that I kind of touched on before you came on, pricing. How do you feel about the current pricing? Because we are obviously at the point where we've got kinos on sale 3 or 4 times a year for $8.95, and we also have people complaining about Severin releasing a 4K title that when you factor in shipping, I think Four Flies on Gray Velvet was $63 after shipping by itself. Which again, not putting that down, I know that's a lot of money.
sorry, real quick, Sivner, I spent a lot of time in a Virgin Megastore too. That's a great call out. Um, okay, we've talked about this before, maybe even on your show. Like,
Probably.
I have always defended the rising prices because you're investing in these companies, they're having to spend. I mean, you see what Deaf Crocodile's doing. Even with like very good sales, they're still having to do Kickstarters to go restore these movies that are just expensive to restore.
Right.
Like back when those guys were with Arbellis, they did that the craziest animated movie that's probably ever been made. That like anime rape movie. Um, fu- not Funeral Parade of Roses. It's a beautiful movie, but it's just like really hard to watch. Anyways, I'll remember the name here in a second. It cost them $150,000 to restore it. Like what? They're never gonna sell that much.
Right.
And of Belladonna of Sadness. Thank you. Sorry, it was crazy. It was blocking my head. Beautiful movie. They're never gonna sell $150,000 worth of those
And
at
that's the hard
20.
part is if it's not a major title,
Yeah,
studios are not going to pony up for all of these titles to be restored.
yeah. I don't know what you do. There's an analogy I want to draw. See if you like this. I was thinking about this in the tech startup world. Um, it's all fun and games when it's like a 10-person company, 20-person company. You're just like fighting to close deals. Did What does this mean? Did Ryan
I'm
just
still
drop
here.
off?
I was
Oh,
just
there you go.
highlighting you.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Sorry, I thought I was just. I mean, I don't mind holding the floor. Um, you have like it. You just have this like passion project, and then institutional investors come in, and they buy the basically the spirit of the company,
Right.
and they say it's cool what you did. Now let's go grow it by like 10x,
Exactly.
whatever, right? And it feels like that's what's happening for companies that are just like there. It feels like somebody that's like money minded is coming in, and I don't know if they're getting a round of investing dollars or if they're getting loans or like whatever. um but it feels more like that is happening, where people are just saying like, okay, we have something that has like a captive audience. Now how do we maximize, like squeeze the money out of that audience, as opposed to maybe like kind of breaking even, like maybe having a little bit of money coming from it, but essentially everybody's poor and just having like a great time. Now it seems like someone's trying to get wealthy off of it. I don't know what that means for the ones that are putting out 3 titles a year. Maybe they're just seeing that you can do it, and so they're like upping the prices to compete
Right. Right.
with the bigger companies. But I don't know. That's what it feels like to me. Like we're losing a little bit of the fun and like the spirit of it for the name, in the name of like getting more of the things and like better quality things. So I don't know where that balance is.
I think the other part that hurts it for me is uh the part that lies within the lack of transparency. So there are certain companies like uh the, the one I just mentioned, the Severin release of Four Flies on Gray Velvet. It very well may be something that doesn't even make them a profit when they are able to license this, get it restored. That is very expensive in Italy. They have to bring in the scanning machine, whatever.
Yeah.
They do all of this and foot it and just say, we do this for the passion of it. And it costs $55 to the consumer. Um, However, they have other titles that come out that maybe on some of those other ones, they're $28 titles, but in all reality, they licensed the transfer from a studio and they probably could have made a slight profit at like $19 even.
Hmm.
And that's how they're still able to put them on sale. Now, not that Severin's doing this. I only say that because they were very transparent about why Four Flies was expensive. The companies that are more shocking for this is something like, I hate to shit on them 2 weeks in a row, but like a Shout Factory. A lot of people are under the impression that Shout Factory pays for all of their restorations out of hand. They do their restorations. They don't. They do some of them, sure, but they price every release like they did their restoration. If they were transparent about everything and they could say this release is $28 with the slipcover because we had to license the transfer, we had to go through this much trouble to restore it, and we had to pay for all these special features, I understand it. But when you're putting out 3 titles in a month that are all $28
Yeah.
and it's clear that the studio did, maybe 2 of those releases, you're artificially inflating 2 of those titles to match the price that you're able to get out of everybody, and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Um, there's like a yeah. I like the word transparency. I'm thinking like, how much of that $28 a title is going into 3 extra staff that they need. I mean, maybe they need them. Like, I don't know. Maybe they
Right.
need some people to help with quality control or like whatever. Like, all those early releases on 4K um, were all like having issues or whatever because
Yeah.
some random like Panasonic player couldn't do it, so they had to reissue a whole bunch or whatever. Um, so maybe they have more like glut as they grow. Like I imagine the Shout Factory team is probably at least like 20 or 30 people, right? They're not they're not four or two like some of these companies. So maybe it just goes into paying the administrative costs. I don't know.
And that's right. I don't know, but from what I hear, Shout Factory is actually a lot smaller than we think.
Oh yeah.
They have certain people for some of these other things, like the Shout Factory TV or whatever it's called, the streaming side of things, and then they've obviously got a couple other divisions of stuff that they do. But like for Scream Factory, which is what most people associate with the word Shout Factory, I believe it mostly is Cliff and Jeff.
Hmm.
Um, I think that they do a lot of it, and then they have a distributor that does all the packaging and all that. That isn't part of Shout Factory.
Okay.
I just I don't know. I don't know how they think that they're just going to keep getting away with the pricing, and obviously people are buying them, so that's got to be a way that they do it.
Maybe that's why they're relying on sales too. I don't know. I mean, they yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting point about imprint. I mean, honestly, like there's been some titles I haven't bought for that reason. Yeah,
Completely
maybe
agree.
I mean, yeah, I think somebody put up, I think it was Stan, somebody mentioned earlier supply and demand. I mean, that's for sure. There's going to be a point where people stop buying, like when they start having a, 2-disc release of a 4K and a Blu-ray with special features and it's $70. We'll see. That might take a while to sell out.
Right.
But as long as, yes, I don't know, it's tough. Like there's another problem which you brought up before, but I like the fact that OCN has 16 titles last month. But like, damn, come on, man. Like, it's. But at the same time, like I like it because it's just you just get to pick. Like I used to want to buy all of them, and now like I don't buy ETR Media. I like what they do, but like they didn't make the cut. I have no beef with them. I just couldn't buy ETR anymore, and I'll probably sell the ones I have, so I'm not tempted to like keep buying ETR when it
Right.
comes out. So I don't know, but I'm
It's a
happy
lot.
these yeah. I mean, I'm glad these companies are getting a chance, right? That's the flip side. Is like there's 16 movies that came out that may not have come out otherwise. So that's a good thing. I don't know.
So, I mean, that's a good way to transition. Is not only are prices rising, we have this massive amount of choice that we just talked about. There are, uh, gosh, I could probably, if I really wanted to, sit down and just from my mind, without looking at my collection, I could probably list out 100 boutique labels right now, which is insane. And not that they're all. I don't think I could do 100 active boutiques, but it would be fairly close to most of them being active. That's a lot. Um, how do you feel about the amount of stuff getting released right now? Do you think it's too much? Do you think that it's still not enough? Do you think that something about the model should change?
There's an inherent assumption in that question that I want to see what you think and what everyone else thinks. Are we assuming that it's the same 3,000 people that are buying all these things that are coming out? Or is it or 4,000 people or whatever, right? Or is it are they trying to like with the Roadhouse title that came out? Prove it. um, with Roadhouse coming out, like, is that Vinegar Syndrome trying to be like, hey, check it out, come buy Roadhouse from us in this like amazing release and try to make that 4,000 pie now like 4,020, like and find new people. Yeah,
Right.
I don't really know because if it's the same core group and we're just being flooded with like more options, then yeah, that's gonna break. Um, like most of my friends don't have a physical collection or library or like that's not a common thing.
No, it's not a common thing at all. And I sadly I do think it is a massive group of people. I think the pie is a little more than 3,000. I think we probably have a core group worldwide even of, of about 50,000 probably.
Okay.
But when you think about the entire population, that is a freaking drop in the bucket. And the hard part is, even with 50,000, basically nobody is buying everything. Hardly anybody. You could probably point out 150 people that are like, I can pretty much cross off every single boutique out there. And when you get past that list, people have to be more choosy. But then you can see things such as the Rad 4K from Vinegar Syndrome. If it's a title that appeals to more of that group, 12,000 can be sold in a weekend and a day, which is insane. Insane. But that's still just 12,000 out of those 50,000.
So yeah. So meaning so meaning what? Meaning that uh that there is like a finite amount that so you're kind of moving towards the end of like there's a finite amount of buyers, and at some point this bubble's going to burst.
I do agree that there's a finite amount of buyers, and by definition, someday the bubble has to burst. I think we're still a long way from that bubble bursting, because
Yeah, I
even
think so
if
too.
50,000 gets down to 20,000, 20,000 people buying stuff worldwide is still a lot for how
Yeah.
many companies we have.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think we'll be good for a while. It's like we're in that we're in that like long tail phase of whatever this industry is. And so
Correct.
we've found the people that are just like passionate about it. Like who I was talking to you I was passing by a store and I was like, "Man, what are all these really nice toys?" You're
Yeah.
like, "Is it Warhammer?" I was like, "Actually, yeah, the sign says Warhammer." Like I didn't even know about that, but apparently people will like kill each other for a nice Warhammer toy, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of industries have this like passionate rabid fan group, and I guess that's us.
Yeah, and if over the next 5 years, inflation doesn't get any better than it's been over the last 2 years, maybe that 50,000 drops to 40,000, and some of these labels start to feel it, because some of those 10,000 that were gone were some of those core fans, and you just never
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I wonder too if like things go in cycles, so all of a sudden it'll be cool to have a physical media library or something, you know.
Well, and that's the hard part, is if we're already on even if we're on the top of the tailing down of the bad side, we hit a really good peak during the pandemic at the height of, say, September of 2020, where so many people were at home and eager to dive into physical media that more
Yeah.
people were doing it. it's it's hard, because if it's going to get bigger than that, it's something major has to happen. And honestly, that's not that far fetched. A lot of these streaming services could fold at the drop of a hat.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, to Joe Jack's point, we just saw it with Olive Films, right? I know there was a reason that that happened, but there are labels that are um, folding. You know, rather than like speaking for like the whole industry, I'll just say for me, um, yeah, I agree with that. We're kind of reached that collector's market phase. Um, so my total collection is just crossed 5,000. It's like 5,100 films. I think it's over like 4,700 titles. I mean releases.
Right.
And I just did, in fact, in these doors behind me, my wife's pissed because they've been sitting there for like a month now. But I did a purge of a lot of the old studio DVDs that I had to like, I only have like limited space. So I have Billy shelves and they're double stacked in terms of coming out. And I probably have room for 500 more or something. I don't know, ish, before I have to figure out if my son loses his bedroom or what I do with the collection. So
Wait,
that
you're telling me you
limits.
don't have a 9,000 square foot house?
I have a 9,000 square foot lot and a 500 square foot house. It's all overgrown grass. Um, but yeah, I don't know like what that's gonna do to the way that I buy too, because like at some point there's only going to be so many that I'll want to like get rid of, right?
Right.
There was a comment in there earlier about maybe we should spend a minute talking about like responsible collecting or how to
Oh,
collect.
absolutely.
My son can sleep on the couch. Yeah, no, he's tonight. That's the reason I was late. The asshole took 40 minutes to go to bed. If I mean, I guess it's y'all don't know me. It's not funny if I'm calling my 5-year-old an asshole, but I'm just kidding. He's a very sweet kid and I love him, but he took a long
My
time to go
kids
to
are assholes.
bed. um, the way the setup is, he has like a race car bed, and then on either side is billy shelves with like this peaceful like forest kind of like um, tarp over them, and behind them is like all the schlock and horror stuff. It's like right by his head when he's sleeping. He has no idea. Um, but where are we talking about? Yeah, so I think like
Responsible spending.
yeah, the way that I buy will change, not because of more titles or more whatever anything we've been talking about, but just because I've kind of reached a max, and like I'm not I'm not willing to sacrifice my marriage to start bringing it into this
Right.
bedroom and like getting rid of those philodendrons. Um, so I'll have to be more selective, and even if there's stuff I want, um, the only thing it's going to be really hard for me to give up is I'm a big sucker for a box set. Like
Totally
I
get that.
love a good box set, so I have to figure that out.
Yeah,
And
I get that fully. And
Ragnar,
go ahead.
sorry, I've thought about this. To Ragnar's point, so my next phase of like things I'll do, I don't know, at some point in my life, is I want to try to figure out how to rip the all the files off of the discs and put them somewhere. But they're huge. Like when you
Yeah.
start getting into the Blu-rays with the multiple commentaries and the subtitling tracks and all this stuff, like these files are
You're
huge.
talking 90 gigs on some of the great ones.
Yeah, that's nuts. Let alone 4K, which, I can't even imagine. But like,
Yeah.
I remember, yeah, you get into some of this stuff. The DVDs themselves aren't too bad. Um, but yeah, these Blu-rays are massive, so I don't even know what.
Responsible spending. I think that is the next thing to bring up. Which I did discuss this a little bit a few months ago. I think it was the last reconnected for 2022. Just keep in mind, you don't have to buy any of these. You don't need to feel pressure to buy any of these.
Mhm.
You don't have to buy any of these. Literally, like underline the word any on that. You can buy one, you can buy none. Buy what you want. That's within your means. Don't get yourself in trouble. Um, Debt is a pile of quicksand that will never be easy for anybody to get out of. And
Mhm.
when you're looking at 2023 through the lens of inflation and impending economic doom that they're holding over our heads at the moment, it's not super hopeful. So I get that it's tough to make smart decisions, but you got to do what's best for you too.
Yeah, I think that could be part of it. I mean, think about like in a weird way, 2020 and 2021 was like the that's true. 2021 was sort of like this. It felt like free money. Like the
Yeah.
government was just like giving us money. And so
Well,
it
and a
kind
lot
of,
of people were staying home, so you were spending less on gas, you were spending less
yeah,
on car insurance, you were spending less on clothes because you weren't wearing them down going to work at a factory. You were spending less on social events because you couldn't go to some of those. It is tough.
um, sorry, there's some good. Um, just real quick, Ashby, when I first started collecting, I had the way that I budgeted without any money was
That's
I would,
Will, by the way, Will Dodson.
oh, hey, Mr. Dr. Dodson, Mr. Dr. Dodson. Uh, so I would walk into a Best Buy, and back when they had this like massive DVD section, and I would spend like 200 or 300 bucks, and then sometimes I could pay it off in 2 months, sometimes I could pay it off in 4 months, but I just wouldn't buy anything else until it was paid off, and then I would go, and I had like my DVD credit card, so that's how I built up my initial collection.
Nice.
Um, all these comments are spot on. It is FOMO. It sucks when stuff's selling out in like 6 hours. It's like
Yeah.
what the hell am I supposed to do with that? Like,
And that, unfortunately, that's where some of that transparency also comes out to play. I love when companies like Second Sight is announcing the standard edition the same day as the limited edition. So somebody
mm,
can say, oh, this will be in stock for a while. Even if I love the extras on this, I can wait and grab this in 7 months when it's not right after
yeah,
Christmas.
yeah.
Um, I'm also a big fan of people that leave their limited edition in stock forever. This is one of the best things about Criterion. The fact that you can go buy something that has limited packaging in 2019 and in 2023 and it's the same thing, that is a huge win.
I do wonder what Criterion knows that these other companies don't know. Because like I wonder if they just have better, like deeper pockets that they can do that, or maybe they produce more so they can like turn stuff around manufacturing wise, faster if they sell out, like in terms of like sell out, meaning they just empty their inventory. Maybe they can
Right.
replenish it faster. But I mean, the only reason they stuff ever goes OOP for them is if it's losing the license, right?
Yeah, that's very true.
I do like that about them, to be honest, because it doesn't matter. Like you just wait for a flash sale or like walk into a Barnes and Noble or any day on Amazon now, if you're willing to pay on Amazon, which
Yeah.
don't support Amazon, but if you do, it's okay. And yeah, so
It helps that Criterion is a massive fan base, and then Barnes and Noble pays for basic, like their warehouse fees across the country as they're sitting on shelves waiting between sales between July and November. So that
yeah,
helps, but it's it's tough.
yeah, because the flash sale comes out of Kentucky, right?
Yes.
And then, but you're right, the Barnes and Noble sale doesn't. I think it comes out of whatever their warehouses are. That's true.
Well, even I was kind of joking about that because most people don't buy Criterions outside of actual sales, so their warehouse can be the shelves at Barnes and Nobles across the states
Oh, I'm
because
sorry, I missed it. I got it. Yeah, 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 yeah.
outside of those, yeah.
Totally, totally, totally.
Kubrick lover, what's going on? It's been a while. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Criterion has way more library sales than most of the other companies as well.
Who else was trying to get into education? Oh, Oscilloscope does a lot of educational business as well. That's what that dude was saying.
A lot of these, even a friend of both of ours, Crescendo House, he does a lot of stuff for educational screenings too.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah,
That's speaking about a guy that needs to release a second one.
yeah. That's why I like Criterion, says Mondo. Rarely does anything go out of print, and
Yeah,
they don't do slips, so you're not missing out on anything. You can wait a year or two or 7.
true, 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 true.
Kino. Yeah, Kino's all over libraries.
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially, I mean, they have like all the silent films. I mean, yeah, Kino's. I can't even imagine trying to be complete on Kino. It'd be like they're in the thousands, I'm sure,
Oh, easily. God,
or
they
10,000. I don't know.
they've got to be in 1,000 after like 1 year. And not
Yeah,
even
yeah, yeah.
joking. Yeah.
That's
God.
true.
Well, no, probably not 1,000 in a year, but I mean, easily like 300 in many of their years. All right. The other thing to talk about when we're talking about, trying to be responsible on the spending is alternate ways that you can consume a lot of this. So we just mentioned libraries. One of the easiest things you can do is support your local library. Other than books, literally just checking out their releases or checking out their books, that gets them funding. It shows that they're being used, and the funding goes up. Unless you live in Missouri, because we're a bunch of backwards idiots. If you there was a big library scandal this week in Missouri. Other than books, if you go focus on, I'm going to go rent just one title from a library every single month, you're showing investment into your community and getting more funding in place.
Interesting.
So,
Yeah, that's a good
super,
point.
super important. The other thing, streaming. If you are a huge fan of Criterion, a lot of their special features, though not all of them, are available for streaming. So you can subscribe to the Criterion channel, and you're spending, I think it's $80 a year at the moment.
Yeah, something like that.
It's 4 Blu-rays, and you can watch a ton of stuff.
There was I love the way this conversation is going. I wanted to see if I could find something quickly. I made a note. Shoot. Oh man, I'm not going to be able to find it quickly. I must have done it somewhere else. I just did. I counted my different labels that I have. And Eric's comment, Criterion was still my number one as well. I think I had 650 movies from them. And then the second one was Arrow with like 375. It dropped off quite a bit.
You're making me check my app. I'm gonna take a look.
But yeah, Criterion Channel is the way. I love it. I mean, Arrow Player and Criterion Channel are on the same technology, so they're essentially the same app, which is for like different companies. And they,
$100 a year for Criterion. Sorry.
yeah. I mean, I know it sounds like a lot when it's 3 numbers, but I mean, it's such an amazing deal for like and their curation is some of the stuff they get on the Criterion channel is amazing. Um, but what was I gonna say? Yeah, um, anyways, I forget exactly where I was going, where my train of thought. But yeah, they're still my number one physical media company is Criterion.
Uh,
Canopy, I was going to bring that up earlier. Ashby just posted. Canopy is another really good streaming site. You just tie into your library and you can just stream like anything in their system. It's awesome.
the hard part, some of the bigger cities, Canopy's not allowed to operate there for some reason. I know Hoopla's in some cities as well. It gets iffy on some of the cities and what they can do with the library. But either way, most libraries they have a ton of DVDs. A lot of them they don't have a lot of Blu-rays, but either way, it's still worth it to try something and support them.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Wow, that's a great idea. Sibner says, "Can you imagine if every Criterion disc came with the coupon for like 2 free weeks of the channel? They'd get a lot of people just forgetting to unsubscribe after a while." Absolutely,
Yeah.
that's a great idea. You made me check, and Criterion is my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th most collected boutique. I've got Shout Factory is up there, Vinegar Syndrome is up there, and Arrow is up there for my boutiques. I've got a lot from Warner Brothers for some reason.
Probably WB Archive, I'm guessing.
Probably a lot of them, yeah.
Or you just love Warner Brothers Studios. They have all the
Yeah,
MGM titles, maybe. I don't know.
yeah. I'm a huge DC fan, even though I've only ever seen like 2 of them. Yeah, so there's lots of alternatives. Obviously, streaming is still very decent for the price that you're paying for the amount of content that you can watch, but it's still lesser quality. So understand that. I will also highlight the service that Celeste de la Cabra is always a big fan of. I never remember the exact title, so I'm going to try to go to another one of my videos that Celeste was on real quick. I think it's 3D Blu-ray rental or 3dblu-ray.com, something like that. I'll get it in just a second. I apologize. But
Here,
it's super worth it.
while you're looking it up, I want to address Kubrick's question or comment. I I am fascinated by Vinegar Syndrome's like commercial model, I guess to say like I mean, they have like everything in kind of business is better when you can get economies of scale, right? And they figured out a way to get these massive economies of scale for like a random Taiwanese film from the 90s and then also like a Hungarian movie that like hasn't been ever been released before. And then um whatever they like they're the typical mainline stuff, like it's all coming from the same manufacturer. They have similar graphic artists, they have the same printers for the packaging. Like brilliant, brilliant. I'm fascinated by what they're doing. And like just imagine, like it's like such a dream to have a place where all of us are just like going once a month and checking it out, like everybody just going to their site on the April 1st or whatever. um
It's
or
crazy.
May 1st now. Yeah, like what they built is phenomenal. Like it's super impressive.
I just put the link in the chat for the site that Celeste recommends. It is store-3d-blu-ray-rental.com, and I believe they said it was like $3.95 to rent a disc, and you can literally rent a boutique disc. It's like an Arrow 4K for $3.95, and it's just like the Netflix deal back in the day. You get the disc, you send it back, and it was like $4. You
Oh
get
no
to
shit.
ingest everything and send it back.
It's just somebody with like a big collection that's renting out their stuff.
And they've got all kinds of like out of print stuff. They if there's something that you want that is not in their collection, they source it for you. It's
Huh.
incredible.
I mean, somebody brought this up earlier. It was common to pay $90 or $120 for like a rental copy of something, right?
Oh
S-
yeah.
So if you have a site like this and it's out of print and it's $150, that probably makes more sense for you to buy it there, right? Just get it in and let people watch it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Store 3D Blu-ray rental.
Yeah, store-3d-blu-ray-rental.com. Anything else for alternative methods that you're thinking on?
I assume I actually am like I'm really I wouldn't even know where to start on piracy. I don't even have a moral stance on it as much as I do I'm an idiot with technology, and I never got into piracy in the beginning, so I wouldn't even know where to begin. Um, uh, uh, Alternative methods. I mean, no, I think we've covered all the good stuff. I mean, the nice thing is we what is it? MVD right now is having that sale for Blue Underground.
Yeah.
MVD typically has the best sales. Um, if you can be patient, I mean, it takes a while, but every once in a while they'll do this sale where they're like liquidating some stuff that's been sitting on the shelves for a while. There's always some good steals in there. It's not as good as it used to be. Um,
Yeah, God, in 2019, I think it was, they sold Ronin from Arrow for $5.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
$5, and now that is going for like 75 on eBay because it's out of print.
Oh, really? Interesting. I'll have to sell my copy. I didn't like that movie as much as I thought I would.
The only other alternative method I really wanted to point out is the used market. You've got flea markets, you've got thrift stores, you've got garage selling. All of these places, people are falling away from physical media, and us collectors still love it. A lot of those places are great to find them and find great deals on stuff. And yeah, sometimes they're not going to be in super great shape, but at least it's still you being able to challenge yourself with great cinema.
Yeah. In fact, while we're on that topic, there's a point on the you were talking earlier about responsible collecting. There's a point about being a completionist that I want to bring up because I think it ties well into this. I think the because I'm a massive completionist. Like
Same.
I'll just admit it. Like someone jokes about Collectors Anonymous. Like that's me for sure.
Oh yeah.
So what I've had to do for that is just be patient. Like I was looking at back when I was still collecting Massacre videos stuff. The very first title for them was
Hack-a-lantern.
Hack-a-Lantern. Thank you. And I really wanted that like special limited edition slip that was not really on eBay at all. And when it did come on, it would be for like $200 or whatever. And so I just decided I was gonna wait, and it took me like 9 months, but I found a copy for $80. And yeah, I mean, 9 months isn't that bad in the big scheme of things. I was expecting to wait for a lot longer.
Right.
But now I'm complete up to the first 11 titles or whatever. Separately, I'll probably be selling those if anybody wants them. Let me know. Um,
Tied into that, I'm also selling most of my Massacre video. If anybody wants any titles, message either of us.
yeah, just hit us up. Yeah, Hack-a-Lantern was a fun watch. I feel a little bit bad, but with this beautiful set, now we can get some good Bollywood horror. We don't need to rely on Massacre video anymore.
That is true. Yeah, so the used market, there's a lot of really great places to get them. I would say scouring even the online used stuff. Grindhouse Video has some used stuff that they used to post online. I believe you can still get some of his stuff in person at the store. Orbit DVD has a huge used section. They're about to have a used section sale in like 4 days, something like that. But even like dinged up copies that they put on Orbit that are dinged up because anal collectors will be pissed off because of a tiny little dent on the corner, and you can get it for like literally 60% off. It's crazy.
That's one of my secrets that I totally forgot about. I wasn't trying to hold it, but if you just click the like "Tell me when it's available" button for the
Yep.
Orbit, it's amazing. Like I've had some really good deals that way.
Yeah, and thankfully, Diabolic, Orbit, and Grindhouse all have that. So if there's something that you want in stock, you can mark it on all three sites, and then it's a race for which store is going to get your business.
Yeah, and usually they all get it within a few minutes because there's a lot of us with the tag on there. Sardis, I want to talk about this for a second if we can, if we have time to yeah. Okay, I'm going to tell you how I interpret that question and tell me if I'm right, because I think I generally agree with you. So one of the things I'm doing just to like go to film school because I never did is every year I'm trying to go be complete on like two directors. So last year was Jodorowsky, which was a really wild ride, and then Fellini, I believe, or maybe that
Wow.
was. And this year I'm in the middle of a Kieslowski run that I'm working on, and then I don't know who I'm going to do next. It might be Sam Fuller. I'm trying to figure that out. But I've done it this will be my 4th year to do it now, so um, I don't know how I feel about that anymore. I used to be super into filmmakers, and I still want to do it as like a part of my general film like collection. And I definitely want to do a Jim Wynorski run one day. I would just wish this stuff wasn't so hard to find. Um, but there's so many amazing directors that have just done like one movie or like two movies,
Right.
um, that I rely on the curation from the boutique labels, because it's not like a generic like boutique label. It's like a guy or a girl who has a great taste in movies. Um, oh, awesome! Thank you. Yeah, we need. Okay, we'll do a. I don't know if any of y'all are in Austin. They used to have this thing called a butt numbathon, where people would come into Austin and just sit down for 24 hours and watch movies. Maybe we could do that for Wynorski. But I trust the. So my point, my sorry, I'm kind of going on and on. My big point is I am learning to trust the curators of these boutique labels
Same.
in a way that I would like trust the filmmakers. They're equal in my eyes. They're becoming equal in my eyes.
Well, and I just had this discussion in an interview that I'm posting in the next couple weeks, but um, the way that some of these people run these labels, you can develop a relationship with those individuals the same way you used to have a relationship with people at a local video store. You could
Mhm.
understand, and I know that you and I are the same way with this individual. I know that for the most part, Fran from Radiance is not going to disappoint me. Pretty much
Yeah,
everything he touches is probably going to be gold.
yeah,
Um, a lot of people are the same way for TerraVision right now. They've loved everything they've put out, including something like Attack of the Killer Refrigerator, and loving Linnea Quigley's horror workout, and um, yeah, the other two titles that I happen to have. How do I have so many TerraVision right close within me? Copperhead and End of the Line. Like so many people have a genuine allegiance, and it's not because they're not TerraVision shills. They've just recognized that their tastes really line up, and
exactly.
that's okay.
Yeah, Def Crocodile, Fun City. Like, there's some of these that are even Connie. Like, their stuff is amazing. Anyways, we can go on and on. But yeah.
Completely agree on all of those. And
Oh,
actually, I can highlight it. Connie is an interview I just had, and they're going to be coming up on the channel.
oh hell yeah, that's awesome. I'd love to hear from them. Please don't
Uh,
tell me, are they white guys or are they Asian?
they are thankfully Asian, but they're from Canada,
Hey,
and
double
it's
even
a
better.
it's a it's a husband and wife team that runs it.
Aw.
Will says, "I know this is a sidebar, but I have 56 Wynorski movies in my collection."
How are they? I guess you've just been a fan for longer than I have. I discovered him late, I guess. But they're all. Do you have like all the out of print DVDs and stuff that are all going for like $300 now?
He's gotta, and like his, if you saw on the awards thing, his Jess Franco collection, he has, I think it's like 124 releases or whatever, just from Jess Franco.
I did. Yeah, I have heard about the Franco obsession.
That's Sivner says Will is typing while crushed under a pile of Jess Franco discs.
Yeah, mini OOP. Yeah, yeah. Anthony, we were talking about Connie. Yeah, Connie releasing. Yeah.
Anthony loves him some Connie. 102 Jess Franco. Jeez. Um,
Hopefully you've heard. Sorry. Hopefully you've heard the Severin podcast where they try to get. Is it Andrew that doesn't like Jess Franco or no? Oh no,
yes,
it is
Andrew
right.
hates Jess Franco. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they dog on him trying to get him to like one of the podcasts.
By the way, hi Andrew. He watches most weeks. Hopefully he's watching tomorrow morning.
Oh, awesome. Hello, Andrew.
Yeah, so there's a lot to this, obviously, and a lot of these, I don't know. There's a lot of ways to do this in a way that pleases you. The hard part is just kick out all of those ideas of keeping up with the Joneses. It is so difficult, but just do what is right for you and your family.
Yeah, 100%. It's not worth going into debt over for sure.
Exactly.
Although, if you do go into debt with vinegar syndrome, the good news is you can typically sell them for more than you bought them for.
You
So
just got to wait 4 years.
yeah, if you're gonna go into debt for Blu-rays, do it through vinegar syndrome.
That's true.
but
That
don't
is true.
but don't go into debt over movies.
All right. So we've talked about a whole bunch of different aspects of that. How about some individual companies? You wanna start catching up on some of these boutiques before we call it a night?
Yeah, sure. What do you have in mind?
Well, first, just like a state of the union for some of these. Like, I want to highlight 88 Films. They have killed it over the last few years, but also I'm kind of sad that it seems like the US releases started to dry up a little bit for them. I don't know what the deal is with that.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. I got my shipping notice today from Diabolique for the next four. So I'm complete on their US line. Speaking of being a completionist, but there's only 11 now. I'm gonna have 15. And what is? Sorry, if I can't find this in the next 5 seconds, I'll give it up. But I have coming in. Here it is. Magnificent Warriors, Super Cop, Gorgeous, and Blood Diamonds. And I don't know if they've released like June and July titles yet.
I know the in the line of duty box set should be shipping soon for them.
Is that? But see, this is where I get a little confused. Is that a U.S. release, or is that just from 88 Films that they're releasing in the U.S.?
88 Films is releasing that only in the US, not in the UK.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I have that on. That's
Eureka has them in the UK.
okay, okay. I think Eureka would probably be up for comeback player of the year, right? If they had a kind of a rough go there when they were trying to figure out their new identity, but they've been strong lately.
Yeah, they've been very strong.
But yeah, no, 88 Films is great. So is the question more just like who am I collecting right now, or is it like
No,
the health of
just
all these
checking in
different labels?
on individual companies. Like 88 Films, like I feel like they're doing really good stuff, but it's sad that the US releases from them have dried up a little bit.
Yeah, what's going on with some companies that came out of the gate so hot, like Visual Vengeance, 88 Films. I don't know. I feel like there's a bunch of these that came out super hot and kind of tapered off. But like you look at I follow Visual Vengeance on Instagram or Twitter, one of them, and they're always talking about live shows. So I know that Matt's busy.
Yeah, they
Um,
supposedly they've been doing some screenings of things and they've confirmed there's like 6 more titles coming.
okay, cool. Yeah.
Indicator is another one that because of that Michael J. Murphy set, they were the last half of 2022 was really kind of iffy on them because they had to delay so many things, and the
Yeah, yeah.
US releases really dried up for them. But they've announced some really great things for 2023.
Yeah, I feel like they have their target basic like well, sorry, I'm kind of fumbling over my words, but they recognize that I am their target audience. Like they
Right.
just keep putting out like 4 or 5 box sets a year and I buy them all, I think.
Yeah, and some of the ones that they've got coming out, they look kind of incredible.
Yeah. I'm curious because that Michael J. Murphy was a big seller for them, I think, right? I think they sold like very, very well for them.
Very well. I don't think it's out of print yet, but yeah, I think they did 6 or 8,000 copies of it, and yeah, supposedly many of them have sold so far.
Yeah, that's awesome. So hopefully they get into. I still can't figure out like what they put out. We asked Anthony directly, just like, what do you put out? And he's like, yeah, like British films and also some American noir and like yeah, like it was. I can't quite figure them out, but I like them. They have good, they have the
Yeah.
best. There's the best releases in the game still. Oh, speaking of another one that came out uh, hot, the Fractured Visions
Ah, yeah.
that does all the special features for like all these folks, right? I guess
Yep.
they just got slammed with projects,
Yeah, and God, what was it? 4 releases, 5 releases that they've done, and then it's just been radio silence from them.
including 29 Palms, which is crazy film, amazing release. So I thought they were going to start going into like more like what's it called, film festival type fare.
Yeah.
But well, we'll see what they do. I don't know.
I mean, honestly, that's a good one to segue into 101 films. They suddenly announced a couple are coming
Yeah,
to the US, and then there's been nothing after I think they've done 2 for the US, 2 or 3. And they've been killer releases, but that's it. And then even their UK releases, they've not been doing a lot. Uh, the big one for them that is selling pretty well, which is really odd. They did that Bob Clark horror set with 3 titles,
yeah,
and all 3 have now been either released or announced on 4K, I believe,
yeah.
or 2 out of the 3. Sorry.
Not to talk about like too much of what goes on behind the scenes for like scheduling and stuff, But about 6 months ago, they were like, "Yeah, let's schedule," and then they connected me with their like US team, I guess, and then have gone totally dark. And like
Hmm.
that's fine. Maybe they just don't want to talk to, maybe they listen to some episodes and don't like my voice. Like who knows the reason? But it does seem to line up with whatever you just said about like they announced this US thing and then something happened. I don't know what it was, but they're good at what they do. Are they? Do you know if they're Old Anchor Bay folks or Old Tartan? Oh, Tartan, right? Are they the ones that
I
are Old Tartan?
believe at least one of them used to be with Tartan. Yeah.
I think it was Tartan. Yeah, that's right.
Tony is asking, am I excited for the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre set? Did you get that second sight release, or are you getting it?
Why are people so excited? What is this movie? Why are people so excited about it?
I'm so excited that I keep
Yeah, I have it coming.
tracking every single day.
Yeah, the second site, they are one I am not complete on. I don't have Drive because I thought the movie was like okay. Sorry, I mean I know it's like it's got rabid fan base, but Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Martin, hell yeah, those were like day one buys.
That I think that they have a pretty killer 2023 lined up. I mean, if we can actually get The Hitcher, if we can get those two
Yeah,
French titles that they're supposedly putting out, yeah, there's quite a few that would absolutely kill it.
yeah, yeah.
Let's see. 88 Films 101. We had some brush-ins with Indicator there. What about Arrow? How you feeling about Arrow at the moment?
I know that Fran is gone, and that's probably left a big void. You know, I don't know how many people know this on your channel, but I have just finished writing about the first 100 Arrow releases. It's up on the Arrow video like subreddit. I'm not. I don't care if you go or not. Like it is. I mean, you don't make any money on Reddit. It's just I just like writing, so that's why I did it. Um, but seeing those, like seeing every single one of their first 100. I didn't realize how much art house stuff they have. Like they get a reputation for being this genre film like company, and I mean understandably so. But there's a ton of art house stuff in their collection. So I'm curious to see what happens with Fran gone. Um, I think that was him
Yeah,
because he's kind of talked about how like their taste didn't line up all the time. Um, and I'm guessing that a lot of that stuff was him. So that means that Arrow might go deeper into the schlock and the
the
genre stuff,
genre. Yeah.
which is like I'm there for that all day long.
Yeah,
Like,
completely agree. And honestly, I would not be surprised if the reason that Arrow Academy got shuttered is because they knew that Fran was leaving.
oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I'm sure that was his baby, right?
100%. I mean,
Yeah,
even in the not to sound like pinky up type of thing, but in the Radiance Discord, I'm sure you've seen it. He's been talking about some of the ones that he used to put out on Arrow that he would like can't really put out because either they didn't sell well or
yeah,
it
yeah,
would be certain similar. But yeah, it's clear that he had his hand in most of those Arrow Academy releases.
yeah, totally. And it just getting to know him more, it seems like that's kind of his jam. Somebody brought up Error 4444. Can we hold? I really want to talk about them, but I want to combine questions. So can we wait for just a second on that? And come back to that because I want to ask a question about what people do with like the hundreds of like
Yes.
pieces of curio that are now coming in
I
all of
love that
these.
discussion we had with that yesterday.
I want to see what everybody's opinion is on that. But yeah, Arrow was one I'm still up on, but I think that I don't mind like a lot of like, they're getting a lot of hate for just like rehashing old stuff, and like I totally get it, but I don't mind because you just like don't buy it, right? Like I don't
Right.
like I even stopped trying to go complete on Arrow because one of the things I noticed was that it 1 to 100 was essentially 100 unique movies, but then 100 to 200 is like 53 unique movies,
Right.
which means 47 movies that they've already put out in like a
Yeah.
steelbook or an FYE exclusive. There's another throwback to video store era, or back when there was malls that people would go
Yeah.
to. But yeah, so they don't think about spine at all. Um, so I think for them, you totally just buy whatever looks good. But like the Claude Chabrol stuff they put out is amazing, and like the Years of
The
Lead set is
Fossbender.
amazing. the Fassbender stuff, the freaking weird Wisconsin, the Bill Rebane stuff. Like, yeah, I'm pro Arrow. I like what they do.
What about in 2023? Because obviously we're on the re-release train on some of the Arrow titles. They were kind of light for a few months, but then like out of nowhere, this last batch of announcements, like this video store box set, looks kind of incredible from them.
Yeah,
And on top of that, we were talking about prices earlier. Amazing price on that video store release. Like you can get that I think it's $61 from Grindhouse Video right now. Incredible for a 5 film box set with all new transfers except for one film and tons of new special features.
totally.
Ridiculously good price.
Yeah, England can come colonize us again if they figure out how to drive prices down like that. I don't know what they're doing over there, but they figured out cheap releases, like for the most
Yeah.
part. Australia's on the other end of that, but Britain's good. They figured out how to make it cheap. Um, yeah, I think specifically in 2023, the more I think 2022 is the year that is going to go back as kind of a rough year in transition for them. But I think this year looks great.
Yeah.
Um, do we know if there's going to be a chance that Shaw Brothers 3 is this December, or is it like they're just? Do you think they're kind of scrambling because it sold so well that they're going
I
to have
don't
to
think
go?
they've announced yet, but the last two have come out in November or December, and they were announced around June to get the hype going.
Yeah,
So it's still easily in the realm of possible for coming out this year.
yeah, yeah. I feel like they need a few things. Maybe this Empire connection with Charles Band. Hopefully, that's a good thing for them. I hope they release all those movies and they have Shaw Brothers. Maybe they can just become a company that releases like they have a few of those people they tag on to. I would love for them to focus on trauma, like the way that Vinegar Syndrome has some trauma stuff. Um, I don't know if that's right for Arrow. I don't know who would do that, but
Maybe in the UK, that would make a little more sense. I'm not knowing any good trauma releases in the UK. 88 Films has done some, like they did the Toxic Avenger set, and God, they might have had one or two others. They definitely did for the old trauma distributed titles at least. But I mean, look at how many Vinegar Syndrome has done of those as well. But
yeah,
I want the actual trauma titles, like the Kaufman titles.
yeah, yeah, totally. Well, he has the streaming site, which is pretty great. Trauma Now,
Yep.
yeah.
And then
But
obviously we've got Toxie coming on 4K in just a few months.
big love for Taxi. And a reboot as well, I believe. Although that's been kind of bandied about for. Okay, can I tell a random trauma story?
Of course.
So I 2009 or 10, my wife and I had been married for the first 5 years of marriage. On our anniversary, we went to New York City just to celebrate together. Um, and one of the years we were there, I found the address for Trauma Studios, and I dragged her through Queens, through like a heavy industrial part of Queens, into an old abandoned firehouse that was now Trauma Studios, and there was just like an intern smoking out there. And I was like, "Is this Trauma Studios?" And he was like, "Yeah." Um, and I was like, "Can I get a tour? Do y'all ever do tours?" He was like, "This is not a common question for this young gentleman." He was like, "I guess." So he just like let us walk in. We got a tour of the whole thing. I have a picture holding the script for Cannibal the Musical, and like holding some of like the ears and the props and all these different things from the movies. Something from Romeo and Juliet. I can't remember. There's one of the exploded heads or something. There's like a prop for that. And then I got to go upstairs, and Lloyd was there, and it true to form, he hit on my wife for the whole 30 minutes we were there. I didn't even care. I was loving it. And then I got to see Michael Hertz. I got to see him in person. He's not the person that's portrayed in the movies as like Jabba the Hutt or whatever. They find that guy, they make him like kind of as gross as possible in the movies. That's not Michael Hertz. He's just a normal looking kind of guy that is behind the scenes there. But yeah, that's one of my crowning achievements in life.
That's fantastic. I need to go to New York. Um, we got a question. Daniel wants to know, how do we feel about A24 store exclusives? Do you have any of those? No.
No, I think I'm I don't watch any movies after 1999, Ryan.
Man, we've been killing it with the callbacks tonight. It's been really great.
Uh,
Funny
they're
enough,
beautiful, but no, I don't have any.
I don't understand how I have so many of these at the ready, but this just came in after Sun from A24. These are the ones that I can get behind. It is normal sized of a regular Blu-ray. It's not one of the crazy books that are this tall and that
Hmm.
don't fit on a shelf. The only thing I will say is this is embarrassing. We got a commentary and some postcards, and that's it. There's a UK release that blows this one out of the water that I was an idiot and didn't realize and got this one first. And I don't understand it. Then they go out and Universal licenses, I think it was Universal, licenses The Lighthouse in the UK to Arrow right after A24 announces it here. And it's an incredible looking release that blows the A24 release far out of the water.
I feel like A24 is good at making money. Like that's their I mean, they make good movies, but like I wonder if they're seeing less value in that. If I wonder if eventually they just move towards licensing their stuff out. Because it like the releases are stunning. Like the front cover of the After Sun is beautiful. But there's no consistency, right? Like you said, some of them are the tall, some of them are the standard. Like they have just discs. I don't know.
I mean, there's some consistency because when they're styled similarly, they look similar, and they're trying to make them. If they had spine numbers or something, I guess that'd be different. But the ones that are the taller size, they're all styled the same. They all look and feel the same. However, it doesn't have the content to warrant the price, especially when many of the films are getting other better releases. And
Yeah.
the UK thing, it's not that A24 licensed it out. A studio owns the rights in the UK and they licensed it out. So it wasn't just A24 handling it. The other
Yeah.
side of things, A24 is like if you go to their store in the US on their website, it's basically this massive hipster place. Like they sold a pet rock for $35, guys. It is all overpriced schlock. And the
From
films are great.
Marcel?
Yes. Or no, sorry, from Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, from okay, okay.
They've sold all kinds of things that are crazy. They try to be like a showpiece with these boutique releases, and it's great. Like even this release, it's pretty. And this film genuinely made me cry. I love this movie. Um, an incredible achievement. I do think that I want the better release of it now, though.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. I've all that being said, A24 is just one I didn't get into immediately, and I just can't start going back.
Right.
They need some lobby cards. There's some really good comments up in the that I've been laughing and smiling at along the way. Um, I'm dumb, I guess. I didn't realize Everything Everywhere was an A24 movie.
It
That
is. It
was
made them a ton of money.
that movie is. I think it deserves every single piece of credit it got. That movie was unbelievable.
Mondo wants to know any idea if we'll get an uncut version of Infinity Pool in the US, or is there a way to get my hands on the uncut Canadian version that you're aware of? Orbit has been stocking the uncut Canadian version. You can get that from them. However, I will highlight that Neon has been releasing a lot of the Cronenberg stuff later. I wouldn't be surprised if Neon put out a 4K of Infinity Pool uncut in like 6 months. Would not surprise me in the least bit. And I guess we're getting Crimes of the Future from Second Sight on 4K eventually soon. I wouldn't be surprised if they also give us a 4K Infinity Pool from Second Sight around the same time. A lot of the same deals float around the exact same pool for the Cronenbergs.
Is that okay? Interesting. Yeah, that's right. That's what I was thinking. That's a Brandon Cronenberg movie, right? They could Possessor out or something like that.
Absolutely. And look at that. Daniel says, I think they said they were doing Infinity Pool as well. Would not be surprising at all.
Real quick, since now I know his first name, Daniel, you mentioned you walked by the Criterion offices. That was really hard to find before, back in the same time I went to Troma. We also tried to track down the Criterion offices, but Google wasn't quite as like big as it is now in terms of like everybody putting their address on there. So I was digging deep into like public records and stuff to try to find their address. We got up to their offices and we went in, but we couldn't get past the front desk. They wouldn't let us go into the closet. I was like, but I buy your movies.
I won't touch. Just let me stand there.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. We hit a lot of the big ones. What any more on Second Sight? Any feelings on them in general?
Um, no. Yeah, I guess for me, Second Sight is somebody that I just go title by title at. They put out the best releases. Like I mean, they're unbelievable, and I love the fact that they do this definitive edition of these films. But I would not let Chris curate my life in the same way that I would let other people curate my life. So I just the ones where we do line up, it's a glorious union, uh, and I'm very happy to own 6 of them, 5 of them, and now probably 8 after this year, depending on what you're saying. But yeah, the other well, we kind of touched on Criterion, but I'm curious. There's been a lot of love for Criterion in the comments tonight. I'd say, despite their flaws, this is what I collect, and it's still my, number one. All these things, and I think it's like I'm curious to watch because it made me think about something. So we were talking about the pool of collectors is 50,000, but for Criterion it might be a lot bigger than that. So I don't really
Perhaps.
know what that does because just even the Criterion sub is like 90,000 people or something, or
True.
100,000 people now or something. It's massive. Um,
Although a lot of those are also streaming. A lot of the people that visit those, they're literally checking out the streaming channel instead of going out and buying. And perhaps they buy a
yeah,
couple a year, but they focus primarily on streaming.
yeah. Like I've got a buddy who works in book publishing, so he has like bookshelves in the way that we have movie shelves. Um, and Criterion is the one thing that he collects. Um, I feel like Criterion is like a museum in a way, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like look at this amazing film history and like these amazing directors and like the ones that are taught in school, like all the art house, like canonical stuff. And I think there's always going to be a difference between them and Kino, even if there shouldn't be, because Kino's putting out like the same, like they're putting out the same films. It's just Kino's getting some, Criterion's getting some. Kino has better special features sometimes, um, but I think Criterion's always going to hold that special place, and I think their films are good. Their releases are good still. A24 is going to be the new Criterion, but only for their movies, right? They're not going to go out and license others.
They're licensing and they're putting out
Okay,
Pi. This is the
okay.
first time they've done that actually.
Pi, the Aronofsky one.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
And I believe they paid for the restoration, I think.
Okay.
So interesting.
I mean, is it?
Kubrick, go ahead.
No, no.
Kubrick said, Ryan, I know you said Criterion isn't doing as good a job anymore. Is that correct? I think there are certain things that Criterion is lacking that they used to have. And I think Criterion is still floating very much on the reputation that they staked out decades ago. However, I will happily admit and say out loud and proud that for the last 18 months or so, Criterion has surprised the hell out of me. Starting just after they got into 4K, probably. And that is the fact that they are diversifying filmmakers and that they are putting out, in my opinion, better titles than they were for a few years. I don't love the 4K double dipping that they're doing. That seems a little egregious at the moment. But I also understand it because they were laying people off. And if that sort of double dipping for them keeps them in business, I'd rather them be around. It was concerning when they were making choices that were baffling, like the booklets coming in a release being too tall for the case, and the moment you open it, it's literally bent because it doesn't fit in the case.
Wait,
Uh,
what?
there was 1 or 2 releases in like 2020 that the booklet was cut longer than the Blu-ray case, so it came ruffled. Um,
Oops.
their titles around that time, it felt just like a massive miss for me. and that's just personally for my taste. Many other people may have loved it, but the stuff that they've been sort of pushing outside of their comfort zone over the last 18 months, I think that they've been killing it. And I over the last few months, I have watched more Criterions than probably in the last 3 years before that, because I've appreciated their titles so much more.
Every movie is somebody's favorite movie. You're discovering some of these ones. Yeah, yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. I didn't realize that A24 is putting out Stop Making Sense as well. Sorry, my ADD is going crazy on the live show. I'm not used to
There's
like
tons of comments.
talking and reading. I love the comments though. So Stop Making Sense, man. That I haven't seen that in a while. That movie is so amazing. Or the concert, that is unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, I hated the packaging on Citizen Kane. I think it's a complete waste. And obviously, them firing people isn't good, but if it keeps the company alive, I understand why.
Yeah, that maybe they were. Yeah, it's hard to know. Maybe they had too many people. I don't know. It's really hard to know. Wasn't it like 17 people or something, or 18 people or something?
No,
I don't know.
if I remember right, it was 80.
Yeah, I mean, how do they have 80 people?
Well, and they still had a lot of staff after that. So I don't know.
But I guess they're selling into libraries and they're selling into schools and they're selling like they probably have a pretty big sales team, I bet, if they have like hundreds of people. Because I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe they do all the restorations and stuff in house, and maybe they do all this stuff in house. It just
Let's
feels
see.
like a
So,
lot.
okay, sorry. It was 16 employees out of 80. It was 20%.
Okay, yeah, that's right. That's what I thought. Yeah, so they have even 80 employees sounds high. But anyways, I mean, just look
Yeah.
at stuff like talk about Second Sight. Look what Chris is doing by himself with contractors. Like, but I guess he's also putting out 3 a year or 5 a year or whatever.
Right.
He's not putting out 5 a month.
Yeah, Second Sight. Gosh, I think last year they did what 10 titles, which it seems like a low amount, but when you look at the actual type of releases, it's still
Oh,
mind blowing that they can produce that much content.
yeah,
I mean, even not that it is this big industry wide standard or anything, but at the Shelf Shock Rewind Awards, Drive took a lot of stuff and almost ran with some of these
sure.
categories.
Yeah,
The Witch won some stuff from last year. There's multiple releases that came out in the last year from them that I would put up against literally almost anything. That Martin release is stunning, absolutely
yeah.
stunning.
Think about what they did with Dawn of the Dead. I mean, like that's one guy plus some contractors doing that. Are you kidding? Like,
And Severin helping them out, yeah.
yeah. Oh, is that what happened for the special features?
Yeah, they did a lot of the special features, the on location stuff in Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, good. There needs to be more people helping out special features companies uh, in the world. But yeah, there's a lot of hate on the Citizen Kane cover. Honestly, I will say, although I defend Criterion, some of the cover art feels like has not hit as much recently as previously. I haven't loved the cover art.
Here's an easy jab to throw at Criterion. You're gonna re-release a film that you had on Blu-ray on 4K. How do you not change the cover art?
Mm,
Like if I'm in a store and I see both releases next to each other, the only way I can tell them apart is that little silver sticker that says 4K UHD.
yeah, that's a good point.
That like if you don't get that sticker on the shrink wrap, there's no way to tell them apart from even 2 feet away. It
Yeah,
makes no sense to have those be the same.
yeah. They, I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to know the reasoning behind it, but that does seem like a miss. They're talking. Planet Mondo is talking about Reanimator. After Wynorski, the next big producer kind of director that I want is a Yuzna set.
Using yeah.
Anybody that could figure out a Yuzna box set or master set would be. I'd buy a lot of that.
Sibner says the back of the case. How often do you browse the back of the case in a Barnes and Noble? I'm just literally talking about the covers. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I guarantee you more people have made mistakes grabbing one that they thought was a 4K or a Blu-ray than you'd think should happen.
Yeah. The sorry, I was thinking about the Clerks and Star Wars discussion. That's one of my favorite little random pieces of dialogue. And then Will, that's awesome about Society. How did Society go down in a classroom full of people that don't know each other? The ending of that movie is so crazy. I love it though.
And I believe Yuzna has already confirmed that Reanimator is coming in 4K. Just no clue on when. And honestly, for Arrow, if they still have the rights, I would hope they would do something different with that one, because Reanimator was a very early release for them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, anyways, first 20 for sure, if not first 10. Yeah, is it that giant? Oh no, Reanimator was number 100. I'm sorry. It was number 100 for them. So probably like 2016-ish,
Looks like August
17-ish.
of 2017.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And it was a beautiful set. I mean, they did a great job with it. Um, oh man, I don't know how you do it. I need to like, there's like a different part of my like, I'm like trying to listen and read at the same time. I don't know how you do it.
It was
Um,
so crazy during the award show. We had more than 120 people here live, and trying to coordinate playing the videos, but responding to comments and making sure that I'm talking to Steven and not like my head exploding. It was insane.
yeah, it's a lot of multitasking.
uh,
Um,
I think one of the major companies that we haven't brought up too much yet, Vinegar Syndrome. Maybe we end with them, and then any closing thoughts?
I'll just say this. I guess I haven't done a good job of asking your opinion, but I hope you feel like you've had your opinion heard tonight
Oh yeah,
as
I mean the
well.
important thing is you.
Uh,
You're the guest here, but yeah, of course.
but they are the ones I'm proud is such a weird word to say, but like, when I see what they're doing with like popular titles that had like relatively big box office or huge video runs, um, uh, I feel very happy for them because like they've always given the films the same love and care, and Justin is like the face of, I don't know, the boutique industry right now, right? Like he's such a sweet natured person and like so awesome at what he does and like just out there all the time and like fights for good causes and stuff in terms of the preservation side. uh, it makes me very happy that they're being able to put out um, a medieval horror like Texas Chainsaw 2, whatever. I mean, like Freeway 1 and 2, like all the stuff they're
From
putting out, it
Beyond,
just
yeah.
makes me From Beyond. Yeah, speaking of using like, yeah, like uh, I don't know, like I can't wait to see what comes from them in a way. Like I was gonna make a comment earlier because we were talking about a film that came out. Like let's just take a crazy example like Dune that's in the theaters now, not Lynch's Dune, but the new one. Like, wouldn't it be weird if Vinegar Syndrome got Dune, right? Or like Severin or something got
Yep.
Dune. But like, you know, we're probably like if these are the companies that would do it, right? It might be Arrow, it might be Criterion. I don't think would do it. It might be Vinegar Syndrome. It might be Severin. I mean, it realistically is not going to happen. Let's be real. That movie made a lot of money. But like the fact that we're moving to where that doesn't seem as crazy as it did 5 years ago makes me really happy.
Yeah. Vinegar Syndrome is not releasing Caligula. That is going to Cult Epics.
Oh, that's a random one. They must have paid a lot for that.
Yeah, guaranteed. Stan, no, I have not watched Lynch's Dune yet.
Hey, I just saw it on the. So, okay, here's a random thing if you want to watch it. If you go on your desktop, the Criterion channel does not have Dune. But if you go on your mobile phone, it does. No idea how. Because I downloaded it and I watched it on the plane, and then I was trying to remember how long it was, and I went back to the desktop, didn't find it. It's like, wait, what? Am I losing it? Like I just watched it, opened up the phone, and it was there, and I did not like it. I know I'm gonna get a lot of shit for that I'm sure in the chat, but
That is a very divisive film.
I really wanted to. I wanted to like it so bad, and I just maybe I'm too close to the novel. Like I really like the book, but just the way Lynch. I know I thought about that. I was watching it on my phone on a plane, and I was like, Lynch is rolling over in his weather report. Um, Do you know that reference, Ryan? He came out and he basically said, like, "Don't ever watch my movie on." Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know how close you are to Lynch. If you haven't seen Dune, have you seen other stuff by him and just not
Oh
Dune?
yeah, yeah. I
Okay,
love most of
okay.
Lynch. I just I'm not real big into like fantasy films. So Dune
Okay.
itself, the whole like sand people politics, that doesn't sound enticing to me.
Sand people politics. I think you're missing the spirit of it, Ryan. It's much more than sand people politics.
Um, I've got a couple people saying, "Is this an exclusive? And has the Cult Epics thing been announced?" It's not officially announced, but they are sharing this, and this is what most people are going off of on Instagram. They posted right after there was an announcement that somebody got the restoration. Cult Epics posted this and said, "Sign up here to find out more." And the thought is that that is coming from them specifically.
How many people do you think have the Severin box set sitting at home and are pissed that it's not that film?
Probably at least 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Vinegar Syndrome, them specifically and not OCN with all the partner labels. I am excited to see them branching out into more, like you said, MGM, Universal titles. I'm also excited for them to still be loyal to things like Burning Paradise that are coming out from some of these Hong Kong titles. Uh, the other side of things, like VSLs with the Flesh and Fantasy, that's a really incredible move for them.
Yeah,
I understand the people that are missing like the old schlocky Demon Wind era of Vinegar Syndrome. Totally understand it, but also they are still releasing those. It's just not quite as many.
yeah,
And the more that they release From Beyond and Roadhouse, the more of those schlocky titles they can pay for restorations for.
totally.
So I'm all about it.
And also, like, I mean, I guess they're never gonna like run out, but like, they have a certain quality. Like, there's always something in a Vinegar Syndrome film that feels like it's one of theirs. With the exception of Dr. Jekyll's Dungeon of Death, terrible movie. The hell were they thinking? Uh, but that aside, and I maybe they're just running out of stuff to like I kind of had this conversation with Agfa, like how much do you have to sort through to find like an Agfa movie that you want to put out? And they're like a lot. Because there's a lot of bad stuff out there as well that doesn't have to get put out. Like it's okay if it kind of gets lost.
Yep.
But yeah, the VSL line, I'm surprised I forgot to bring that up. Super pumped about that. Yeah, love it.
Vinegar Syndrome is exciting. I think OCN is still killing it. My most exciting part is the partner label still. I love them. Period. Kubrick is asking if Vinegar Syndrome restores some less quality titles they can find its higher concept films restorations. No, like if they sell more copies of Roadhouse at $55 a piece or whatever it is, they can afford to pay for more restorations because as you and I both learned from Deaf Crocodile, a like solid level 4K restoration for a 90-minute film can range from $50,000 to $75,000, which is a ton of money.
Yeah.
Vinegar Syndrome does it all in house, so they're just kind of footing the bill, and it probably costs them a little bit less. But those financings that they get from selling some of these larger titles allows them to pay for restorations for stuff that studios would never pay for a restoration for.
You know what we should do, and by we I mean you, but I'll do it if you don't for some reason. Uh, you should have Brett Berg on and just talk about theatrical stuff, because that dude is kind of single-handedly like he's like the Justin La Liberty of like theatrical releases for all
Yeah.
these boutique houses now, right? I wonder what that does to a movie like Belladonna of Sadness or any of these 4K restorations you're talking about, because I don't have really any concept of the financials from that. Like if you lease it out a couple times a year, I mean that's not going to bring you $100,000, right?
Oh God,
Maybe.
no. Was it last year or the year before? I don't remember how many people remember seeing this, but AGFA on all of their social media was saying it might have been around Halloween. They basically said flash sale on theatrical stuff. If you book stuff for some certain specific period of time, they were giving people like 50% off. And if I remember the financials right, it was literally like instead of 300 for a showing, it'll be 150, and that was it.
Wow.
Which, if I'm remembering that right, that is like nothing.
I mean, I might pay to have Bat Pussy put up on the side of my building just if it's $150 just to do it. Um, but that's interesting. But yeah, like I mean, what does that do for these? You know, because if it's like Big World, that guy Jonathan,
Yep.
a lot of his stuff is like just coming off of festivals, right? And so it's kind of just like sitting there on the shelves for these companies until he
Yeah.
puts them out. Um, so I don't know. Um, sorry, I was distracted by somebody making a Freddy Got Fingered reference.
Yep.
What is that an inside joke or is that just something? Is it?
No, I think it's just because we don't know the full scope of what VSLs can be yet. They said outside of the time frame for Vinegar Syndrome stuff, which means so far it's all been older stuff, but they also said from faraway lands or whatever, so it could be more foreign films that they haven't dove into yet. And looking at this, I mean, Freddy Got Fingered, I mean, a Canadian film from 1998 or whatever it was, that's not going to be anything that ends up on the VSL line. I'm sure it was mostly a joke.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. I was just trying to figure out the joke.
Terry says $150 was bargain basement prices when I dealt with booking films during my college days. So I don't
oh,
know how that holds up. That was actually booking film, though, right, Terry? Because obviously now with digital, they're sending files to and the rights to it. It's tough. I
yeah.
don't know.
Anyways,
I'd
so
have to
it
ask
seems
Brett.
it's not like a major money maker, I guess.
It can't
But
be because
yeah,
even if Bat Pussy plays 3 times this year, if it's really $300, like that's nothing.
not even $1,000. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's what is that? $40 a pop. What is that? 4 into 100 is 25, so that's 250. 25 copies at $40 a pop, or 40 copies at $25 a pop. Am I doing that right? No, that can't be right.
I'm lost in the math that you're doing.
Trying to get to $1,000, like a like
Oh,
for
like
like.
how many Blu-rays does it cost to get there?
Yeah. So it's nice. I mean, if you're because not all the stuff is restored for $100,000, right? Like
Correct.
some of it is they're like maybe 5 or 10,000, and it's cheap to get the films. So there's money in some of these.
Yeah, so that price was for actually screening film, is what Terry says. So, yeah, if it is, I mean, digital obviously costs less to just literally project.
Mhm.
So it's got to be like if it actually is 300, that is nothing basically.
Yeah. Definitely. Um, no, I I don't think there's anything else that I about Vinegar Syndrome. I just can't wait to see what like the thing that I'm interested in kind of seeing is if like the folks here branch off in the way that Brad's doing,
Yeah,
because what they're doing is not necessarily proprietary. They're just really good at it,
right.
right? But they can't like trademark their process. So as people are seeing it work, like, are these folks going to be tempted to go off and start their own thing? Because I'm sure the money's good for like 2 people in the company or 3 people in the company. If it's not good for everyone that works there, so it'd be interesting to see if that, just like Anchor Bay did it or Blue
Yeah.
Underground did it, like people just kind of branch off and start all their own stuff.
I mean, yes, I could see it happening for a few of the labels, but I think there's a lot of stuff that obviously on the outside we don't know. Like, I'm willing to bet AGFA probably has a pretty damn good deal with OCN. That's probably different than a lot of the newer partners
Mm,
because they were one of the first 2 or 3.
they're OG.
But also Fun City was one of the first few as well. So,
Hmm.
uh, but Fun City, I think, has a little more of a diehard fan base than some of these others.
But like no one's done comedies yet, right? Like think
True.
about some boutique label that just wants to do rom-coms. Like they could probably print cash.
To a point, but the hard part is genre films are what sells, and most people they fall back on that. It's Fun City really like they've done well with a few dramas that are by themselves, but even the last time I talked with Jonathan, that's not many boutiques are willing to go in on some of these dramas or comedies or dramedies or romantic fit. Like, how many just pure romance films have been released by these? Not hardly any.
They're genre films, right? I think you just have to find your audience. Like like you have to find the Brian Usna of romantic dramas,
Yeah.
and just turn that romance up. You know, like all the novels with like Fabio with the flying hair, and he's like riding a horse, and there's like some really like titillating description on the back. Like, where are those movies on Blu-ray?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not buying them. I'm not the audience, but
Anthony, I don't think Chris is saying nobody has released a comedy. No partner label is 100% putting out comedies.
oh
And
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
a,
all.
a lot of the partner labels have done comedies. I mean, Circle Collective has done a few actually. It's just a lot of these partner labels, they're literally laser focused on one genre, and none of them are just pure comedy.
Yeah, like we have Polizia Tecci, right? We have Jolly, but we haven't done much with Italian comedies or um,
Give us
Japanese
those old Fulcis,
comedies.
please.
Yeah, 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 exactly. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, like um, I don't know if Zach's still on the line, but he doesn't like comedy. Just in the same way you don't like pickles, he just doesn't like comedy.
We had a big discussion. We had a couple people in the Discord this week that said, "Yeah, I generally don't like any comedy." John Peters is one of them.
It's fair. I don't like the like if you when I think of that comment, I think of like the what is it, the Chevy Chase, European Vacation, like all the vacation movies, or like maybe Blues Brothers. Like I think people tend to think of like those kind of comedies, maybe, or maybe I'm just
Yeah.
showing my age. But there was like a golden era of comedies, and so if you don't like those, like I get it. I've gone through a lot of them recently, and like they're okay. Mel Brooks still makes me laugh, but a lot of the other ones, it's like, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah. Well, any state of the hobby final thoughts? Anything that we really glossed over?
No, I appreciate everybody sticking around. What time is it? So we're like just over 3 hours. That's amazing.
3 hours, 20 minutes.
Uh,
Yeah.
we're like I just finished a Antonioni movie called La Ventura, and I saw a 2.5 hour runtime, and I was like, how is he gonna stretch it for 2.5 hours? But it was pretty engaging, actually. So I hope that this episode, like La Ventura from Antonioni, was engaging despite the 3 hour runtime. Um, Final thoughts. You don't have to buy anything, but if you don't, you hate preservation of media, and it's your fault if these companies go bankrupt. So it's up to you.
This
Decide
is
if you
all
want
in
to
your hands.
go in debt and support an industry, or be selfish and stay out of debt and watch the world crumble. It's your choice. No, totally kidding. I don't know what final words. Watch more Wynorski films and Brian using the films, because Ticks. Watch Ticks. Start with Ticks. Ticks is
Ticks is so good.
so good, and it ends with a giant tick. I mean, come on. Like, if you're gonna make a movie about ticks, show a giant tick.
I've mostly ignored it, but Sibner is really trying to get us to rip Scream Factory apart. For those that, I mean, nobody else knows this, but Chris and I talked on the phone yesterday, and the whole thing that led to the discussion was Chris sent me a message, and all it said was $40 lobby cards. I love that rant from last week has affected so many people.
It was an egregious sin on their part. They need to have penance.
I yeah, I can rant about them for another 12 minutes, but I don't know. Anything else that you want to say about Shout Factory? Like there's a lot of negativity around Shout Factory lately, and it's not much is leading to me wanting to say much positive.
No, they're another one of these companies. I don't trust their curation. I have no idea who's curating for them. I have a little bit of a soft spot for them because the very first TV DVD that I bought was from this company called Shout Factory, and it was an animated show called Home Movies. I still love that show to this day. But I like that. It seems like their approach is spray and pray, just like buy up whatever they can and like put it out and see if what people buy. Um, so I just handpick, I guess. That's my thought on. They're kind of like neutral to me. I just handpick and enjoy the stuff that I like from them.
It's tough because I like a lot of the special features that have come out of Shout over the last 10 years, but I think that the best it, it really feels like the best is behind them. Um,
Yeah,
it's difficult to discuss though because they've been able to accomplish things that were literally seen as impossible. I can't quite reach it, but the Friday the 13th box set, I know a lot of people just like look at this and go, "Oh, look, we have the Friday the 13th movies. This is great." That honestly should not exist. The fact that it came together the way that it does
mhm,
is a miracle, and I
yeah,
think some people take it for granted because it's
right.
you can get it on sale for $70 from Amazon like
uh
48 weeks of the year. And it's astonishing that we have it. It's astonishing that it exists. Um, some of these releases, they they are gorgeous, genuinely. The way that they've put heart and soul into like what they've done with Life Force over the years is fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
However, they've released Life Force like what 4 times? Yeah, we've gotten 2 Blu-rays, a 4K, and a Steelbook. Why do we need 4 releases of Life Force in 10 years?
I mean, the people, the life force apologists would tell you that they need that. Uh, We're getting quotes from the movie. But yeah, no, I fully agree. Actually, the more I think about it, I think I'm down on them because their 4K um, approach, like strategy, has been so scattered and bad. Like they hit it out of the park with that Halloween box set. A few years later, they had the Friday the 13th set, and then their next like big thing was just like re-releasing individual Halloween titles, and then what, the Chucky films or whatever, right? Or they just did, but they haven't had like another big box set that kind of like brings people back and it's like, oh, okay, you're good again, like we like you. They need to do that every couple of years, I think, to keep people warm on them.
Yes, and I would agree with that. They've done some great box sets. I mean, the Critters box set is great. The Omen box set was very needed and incredible. We Nobody else would touch It's Alive, and Scream
Mm-hmm.
Factory gave us that. The fact that we have a Larry Fessenden box set,
Hmm.
it's still astonishing. The Universal horror box sets are great, even though they're a little overpriced. It's a lot that is cool, but they need to do a little more of that to keep people intrigued if all you're going to be doing is re-releasing stuff on 4K.
Okay, can I ask one more question to the room?
Always, you can
Are
ask 10
we,
more.
well, okay, I gotta go to bed soon. But um, why I think Shout Factory is the biggest offender here, but an offender I'm using lightly because I know people like collecting just like random shit. I totally get it. But like I want to buy the movie without the big poster roll. Like I have these poster rolls that are just like jammed into my closet because I'm not really like at a stage in my life where I have posters on my wall. Like I mean, just like I can't really put poster up. But they have all this like stuff they give with their movies, right? And then Era 40, 44, 44, 44, 44 had this like unbelievable release with like 12 different like things that came with it. So I'm
Yep.
curious. I don't even mean to knock it. It's not for me, but I don't even mean to really knock it. Like, are there in this room here now, are there people that collect this stuff and like do something with it? Like, why are they putting all this stuff in their releases? Help me understand. I mean, I guess to raise the price up, but like it can't just be that. I'm sure people really care, like really want this stuff, right?
And the big question, because Chris and I discussed this on the phone yesterday, what are you doing with all the extra stuff? Are you displaying it? Are you putting all of these posters up? Are you uh collecting stickers? Are you
Yeah, right.
um these VA are you watching the VHS releases that come in these giant releases?
Yeah, Planet Mondo. Yeah, I had the same reaction. I was like, man, I'm so proud of these guys. Like, look, this thing is selling out. Oh, there's more. Oh, there's more. Oh, there's more. Okay. And I don't know if this is how it came for y'all, but the pack that I ordered, like it all came separately. Which, I mean, much love to those guys. I know they were busy, but like, so I basically got the box with the movies in it, and then all the like stuff separately, and I had to like figure out how to fold it and like get it in the box and put it in. So it was like
Weird.
I had a little like a craft project along with getting the release in. I don't
I
know
don't
if
think
that's
mine came like that.
okay.
Huh.
Yeah, but I'm with some of y'all. Y'all are saying like, give me the movie, give me a booklet, great. Anything that fits in like the box, and give me a nice solid hard box, and I'm good forever.
Yep. I am huge on that.
Yeah. So it sounds like we're all in agreement here. So, but somebody's collecting this stuff, right? Maybe it's the Warhammer crowd.
Or I mean, the sad thing is a lot of it goes to scalpers.
Oh,
Guaranteed.
oh, that's a good point. I should have scalped it. No, I don't really do that. I'm just kidding. I don't. I
A lot of that stuff does end up on eBay, period. But at the same time, it's only ending up on eBay because people are buying it. So who's buying that?
It's just a cycle. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just reading some of the comments. Yeah. Yeah, tiny milk carton was one that I was like, come on, man, I don't need this. What's going on? That's funny. Yeah, the Funko crowd. Thank you. Again, no love lost if you're a big Funko person. But I'm stunned. Like these things are so popular. Like like who has room for this? I mean, I guess if you this is the nice like we we live downtown, so we're kind of like compressed. But I guess this is an argument for living in the suburbs, right? If you can go bit like a big house, you could have like a Funko room or whatever, right? And it's
I mean,
just like
I'm in the suburbs and this is my room. Yeah. I mean, you can see I've got Severin Chachki hanging right here from like 2017. I've got I trashed A24 just a little while ago. Up on top of my movies, here's the Marcel the Shell with Shoes on Matchbox with Marcel. I actually display a lot of crap, but I'm out of space for sure. It's a lot. A
you need
lot.
to add on to the house.
Oh god, we're moving. I'm not doing anything. Yeah, Mondo Macabro's Dr. Caligari 4K release. People are listing it for 200. I don't think it's selling for 200, but no doubt they will have a standard release of that soon.
This
Yes,
thing?
that one. Yeah.
Did it sell out in like a minute or something?
It sold out in the first weekend.
Okay, yeah. No, I won't sell it.
But if I remember what Jared said, I believe they have the rights to the movie in perpetuity. They're not just going to not sell more of it. Mondo stuff always comes with their special or their standard edition like 6 months after the limited edition.
Yeah, the blue cases or whatever. The regular cases.
Yep.
Yeah, I've gone back and tried to figure out if I want to be complete on Mondo with the red cases, but it's not worth it. That stuff is going for like it's all so crazy priced.
I friend of the channel Jeremy Long was recently he walked into a store called CD Trader in LA, and somebody unfortunately had just recently passed away, and CD Trader got a bunch of stuff in the estate sale, and he was a big physical media collector. He got I think 4 or 5 of the older Mondo Macabro red case titles for $14.99 each,
Oh
because
wow.
CD Trader, when looking up the prices to compare, they just typed in the title. They didn't do anything about limited edition or anything, and they saw,
Oh
oh, this goes
wow.
for like $15 on eBay, so well, $15.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine? Well, that's the other thing is that like like some of the titles aren't even on eBay. Like they might pop up once or twice a year or something, but it's not like a steady stream on eBay, so you might not even see it on there. What's this thing about the butt plug from
A24 sold the butt plug looking candle from Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, that was
They
real. I thought that was a joke. That was actually one of the things they sold.
Yes, and they literally charged like $60 for it,
Is
and
it a
Jeremy
function?
bought it.
Is it a functional butt plug or is it just a
No, it's a
toy?
candle.
Oh, well then what's the why would you pay $60 for a candle if you're not even going to use it?
Because people loved that movie, and the A24 crowd buys stuff like crazy.
Oh, interesting. With hearing for Chris turned real fast to the screen there with hearing for yeah, no joke. I've been enough eBay sites trying to figure out those prices. No man, thank you for having me on. I don't know if everybody knows They Live by Film. We're in a little bit of a lull right now because candles can be functional. Hey, you know what? No judgment. That feels dangerous, but talk to your doctor first on that one. Um, um, we're having to do some like special episodes because one of us uh, their laptop broken, so we're in the middle of getting a new laptop, or he's in the middle of getting a new laptop. So in the meantime, we're putting out some special episodes, which just means that we're scrambling to try to figure out what to say for a few weeks. But we have some good interviews coming up that I'm really excited about, and we'll get back into the regular format of us picking two movies to try to expand the horizons of the other two, which basically means pissing off the other two.
Well, and the interviews that you guys have been putting out have been some of my favorites over this last year. You guys have been really, really doing well.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, no, it's I'm always like I'm still surprised people say yes. Like I'm not in the industry. I don't, I'm like,
Same.
hey, I get like hundreds of listens. But yeah, they do it. So we're gonna keep going. It's just They Live by Film. Actually, the best thing is anchor.fm/They Live by Film. That's the best one because we
And
haven't
all of
updated.
the links are in the description for They Live by Film.
Oh, appreciate that, man. Love what you're doing. Love what you're building here. Thanks for having me on again.
Anthony, we took your dare, we ran with it. We went a little more than 10 more minutes.
Exactly.
Thank you to everybody for watching.
Medieval.
Not to Chris's channel, Kubrick Lover says, "What's Chris's channel?" You guys are doing some YouTube stuff now all together. So the YouTube channel I believe is linked in the description below, and if not, I will add it as well.
It's real hard to find. Our SEO is not good yet. But I need to figure out. I need to get a better mic and stuff. Don't worry about the YouTube. If you listen to podcasts, do that through however you listen to podcasts. The YouTube is in a beta or alpha. What is it called? A beta testing right now.
Yeah. As usual, I will shout out all of the patrons for the channel. You guys support this in more ways than you possibly know how. I would not be able to go through the great lengths that I do without all of these fine people that you see on the screen right now. And we obviously talked about the Discord a lot tonight. If you are into it, please come hang out. Description for the Patreon is below. We have a lot of people that would love to have you. There's tons of inside jokes. We share our collecting habits. We share our feelings on pickles and comedy and all kinds of other stuff in there. It is crazy the amount of conversation that happens. So please come check it out.
Awesome, man. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Ryan.
The last thing I will say, please go subscribe to the They Live by Film. We all deserve to have more of them in our lives. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out, and we'll see you next Thursday. Have a good one.
Good night, all.